Toronto.
Second time in the red zone for the Elks. This time the give to Rankin finds a crease, cuts back into the end zone. Touchdown, Edmonton. Justin Rankin finally breaks free.
60% talent, 40% Swedish hair cream.
Swing drive will hit right. Suzuki back. It's gone. It is gone. It is gone. 3 homers for Baez. Major League history at Wrigley Field.
It's all gas, no brakes.
Simple plays he executed at a high level.
And he 3 scores here. This time the play fake looks inside. It's intercepted. J.J. Ross goes back the other way. Only Chad Kelly can prevent him from scoring. Ross has it, and he is going to score. Edmonton running away with this one.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we're here to stay.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August the 18th, and the Toronto Blue Jays set to open up the Tropicana Field, a place that has not been very kind to them as they continue their pursuit of an AL wildcard spot. Keenan Allen finally lands himself an NFL contract heading into the 2026 season in Indianapolis, and Pete Crow Armstrong continuing to bolster and strengthen his case for the National League MVP this summer in baseball. Welcome to the Tom Gazzola Show here on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in once again for Tommy G, and will continue to do so for the remainder of the week. Glad to have you all along with us. However you are consuming the program this morning, we do appreciate it. You can watch the show. It's on our YouTube page, Sports 1440 AM. While you're over there, be sure to subscribe. You can drop us a like on the video as well and get involved in the chat, in the comment section there. We're happy to keep tabs on it and interact with you. Also, same video feed on all of our social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, even over on Twitch, if that is your preferred outlet to consume. And then if you're just listening, of course, the old reliable terrestrial AM radio dial, and then some streaming options for you too in case you're in and out of the vehicle or maybe out of service range. The TuneIn app, great one. That's my preferred option and favorite. And then iHeartRadio, Radio Player Canada, of course, our own website at sports1440.ca. If you do miss any portion of today's show, you can always catch up after the fact via podcast, pretty well anywhere you get them. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, as some of the headliners. Just search the Tom Gazzola Show. You can subscribe there as well. Also select the auto download feature. That way, every episode, every interview will be there waiting for you in your library. You don't got to seek it out, and you'll never have to miss a moment of the program. As usual, the Tom Gazzola Show is brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Yes, happy Tuesday morning to you. We continue to roll through kind of the doldrum days of the summer. We're less than a month out from NHL training camps. NFL preseason is right in the throes of it, and continue to see some transactions. A few new players land in fresh places. Injuries continue to plague certain teams, and the MLB season rolls on as well. Blue Jays off day yesterday, and one they desperately needed as their pitching staff has been taxed to the gills. They are going to head down to Tampa to open up the first of 3 on a 2-set road trip, 3 in Tampa Bay and then 3 in the Bronx, before they return home for what is on paper supposed to be an easier closeout to their schedule, where they face a lot of teams that are below 500, hovering around 500, and maybe most importantly, teams that they are trying to leapfrog in the American League wildcard race. No better opportunity than to take care of your own business than have to be scoreboard watching night in and night out to have other teams try and do you a favor. So that is all on the up and up. Get in on this conversation with us this morning. As mentioned, the YouTube chat's one outlet, but you can always text us 1-833-401-1440. What's on your mind? What's keeping you up at night? If it is Oilers or hockey talk and you're starting to get that itch, we kind of broached that topic yesterday with Spec, with Low Tide, with Jesse Granger down in Vegas, saying, yeah, it's been a great summer and we all appreciate the time away from hockey. But as we head into the second half of August, it does seem like we're chomping at the bit a little bit more, especially if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan and the season ended the way it did last year, where back-to-back appearances in the Stanley Cup final, both ending in heartbreak. And there's no simpler way of putting it, because when you don't win, that's what it is, whether it's dramatic fashion like Game 7, erasing a 3-0 series deficit, or the next year where it was pretty clear you were not the better team and are dispatched in a little bit easier fashion by the Florida Panthers. But you follow that up with a year where it was up and down, in and out. You couldn't really decide what kind of team you're going to be. You're playing without identity a lot of the time. And as a result, you found yourself banged up and unsure in a first-round playoff matchup against a hungry, up-and-coming Anaheim team, and they made pretty light work of the Oilers back in the spring. So a long offseason, a lot of chances for players to get back to full health, reset, reinvigorate themselves. And you have to think coming into this campaign, plenty hungry, and then that constantly looming notion of Connor McDavid's contract status, the first of this 2-year extension at just $12.5 million AAV. Could this, if things do not go well, be the final year of Connor McDavid as an Edmonton Oiler? I know it's dramatic. I'm not trying to stoke any fires, but there's no doubt that that continues to loom large in the minds of plenty of Oilers fans, and certainly those within the organization as well. One more time, 1-833-401-1440. Get in on the conversation with us. I wanted to start this morning on a more formal note on how I kind of finished my little 3-headline intro, and that is in the Windy City of Chicago, Illinois. Pete Crow Armstrong is having himself an unbelievable season. To me, it's very clear and obvious he has taken over as the front runner for MVP in the National League, surpassing the likes of Shohei Ohtani, who continues to play an unbelievable game. But what was the one edge Shohei always had, at least these past couple seasons, I should say, over a lot of his peers? He was doing it on both sides of the ball. He was pitching and he was hitting, both at all-star calibers and of course, MVP caliber levels. Well, that's kind of fallen out of his arsenal here. Now, there is a potential for him to start throwing some bullpen sessions. He could very well get back to that. And that's, I'm sure, what the Dodgers say. It's like, we don't need you to pitch in the regular season, but be ready come playoff time. The MVP is a regular season award. And Pete Crow Armstrong last night, against the crosstown rival Chicago White Sox, who are having an unbelievable season in their own right and duking it out for first place in the AL Central and a playoff berth. Young, exciting team. They made some ads at the deadline, as did the Cubbies. Armstrong last night hit a leadoff home run in the game. Not a bad way to get things started. And then in an extra inning, walked it off with a second home run of the contest. Now, that's an impressive feat in its own right. But what it made on the stat sheet for Armstrong, his second consecutive 30-30 season, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. He's the second Cub to ever do that after Sammy Sosa. Just the 10th player in MLB history to record 2 consecutive 30-30 seasons. Let me run down some of the other names that are on that list in case you are unfamiliar in the type of company that he is, in fact, joining. Chris Young, that was the back-to-back walk-off and lead-off men, 30-30 seasons and back-to-back seasons. Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt Jr., Ryan Braun, Alfonso Soriano, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Barry Bonds, Ron Grant, Bobby Bonds, and Willie Mays. Just 10 players in the history of Major League Baseball, back-to-back seasons of 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. Now, that's pretty good, but last season doesn't really count. So what about more into this year, what PCA has accomplished so far? Currently 7th in the league in home runs, pretty solid. 10th in hits, 2nd in runs scored, 2nd in triples, 12th in RBIs, 5th in stolen bases, and is slashing .281, .379, and .550. Just staggering numbers for a guy that can hit for contact. He can hit for power. And once he's on the base paths, he's an absolute demon in making his way around. Incredible stuff. Leads the league in WAR. If you're into some of the more advanced statistic, wins above replacement, 7.7 wins above replacement, leads the entire majors. Offensively, 6.3 is the best in that category. And defensively, forget he does play a center field as well. He's one of the very best in the entire league. Gold glove, platinum glove caliber, gold glove center fielder. He's 10th in the league, in both leagues, I should say, in defensive WAR at 1.8. So the reason I'm honing in on this so much is because I'm not sure it's getting enough traction. I'm not sure it's getting enough tread. And that might be me, victim of Canadian baseball kind of a tunnel vision on the Toronto Blue Jays, which I'm absolutely guilty of at times. I watch more Blue Jays game than any other team by a wide margin. But when we've seen in years past, guys have exceptional seasons, it seems to really dominate. And we're talking, the fact it's such a close MVP race, I think that makes it all the better. So to me, PCA has leapfrogged Shohei in this year's race. And by the season's end, I think he will be taking home his first honors in that category as the most valuable player of the National League. Great stuff for him. The Cubbies, I don't know if they can catch Milwaukee. I wouldn't put it at a very high likelihood. Currently, they sit 4.5 games back. Milwaukee leading the NL Central. Cubs comfortably in a wild card spot, 6 games up in that respect. It would be a big feather in their cap. And you have to think, come playoff time, depending how matchups shake out, you would much rather be in that division leading spot than have to, go up against a likely tougher opponent, depending on how the final standings in the National League do shake out. 7-12 in Edmonton. Let's welcome in man on the other side of the board on the ones and twos, Donovan Paulson on a Tuesday morning. Donnie, glad to have you as always. And I must say, I don't know what happened in here last night, but the air conditioning is not working, and it is hotter than hell inside this studio this morning. It's not the ice box today. It's the sweat box. Good morning.
Good morning. This might be the day where, if you're watching on stream, you might see Brando take his shirt off. That's the type of heat that you have in here. You might get Kevin Karius running through his neighborhood, and with the tarps off, if you remember all the talks about that a couple summers ago, that's the type of environment we have in here. It is muggy. It's going to get disgusting as we reach like hour 2, hour 3, hour 4. There's going to be a lot of sweat, just getting everybody all prepped for the continued complaining of what feels like it's definitely not 35 degrees, but it's going to feel like 35 degrees in this room.
Yeah. And the chances of me taking the temperatures it would need to reach for that to happen, I'm not sure they exist on a human scale.
You sure you don't want the listeners to see you with the tarps off?
That'd be a real treat
on
for them.
Camera.
That'd be a real treat for them.
They're already graced with your face on camera. What's a little extra skin?
I like our listeners and viewers, Donovan. I'm not trying to scare them away. And I understand I'm on camera, this mug that chose radio as a desired profession, where even just a few short years ago, didn't have the foresight to realize the way things were moving. Like, there's a good chance that even in radio, you're probably going to have to be a little more front-facing at times. I've come to grips with that. That's okay. I'm fine. But nobody wants to see this bag of milk out on camera. Not on YouTube, not on Twitter, not on Facebook, definitely not on Instagram. That's where the honeys are at. And probably not on Twitch, because something tells me that could somehow get turned around into some sort of backdoor stream that's garnering attention that I'm not sure we're necessarily interested in. Now, Donovan, you heard my kind of little opening diatribe there about PCA. Where do you land on this? Am I pumping the tires too much and I've never hidden this fact, right? That I take a much better liking to players that can play both sides of the ball. We talked about this yesterday with Andres Jimenez. Now, both players, if we're just using this most recent comparable in our discussions as Jimenez, some of the very best at their position defensively in the league. PCA is that in center field. There's no doubt. Now, what he's doing at the plate and doing it in different ways, too, as a guy that can get on base when you need him to, can hit a big home run when you need him to, and can, if you walk him, if he does just hit a little bloop single to keep the line moving, can find himself on third base from first in a matter of a couple pitches in near the blink of an eye. He is a genuine 5-tool player that is among the very best that baseball has to offer right now across the leagues. And here we are. It's just August 18th. There's still a lot of season to play, or a decent amount of season to play. But he is my NL MVP.
So I'm going to put it to you this way, okay? Names like Willie Mays.
Pretty good player.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
Those are both unbelievable Hall of Fame players. That is the type of season that he's having. Not quite the exact same heights that they both reached.
Not yet.
Not quite yet, but he's still a very, very young player. He's a perfect combination of elite defender with really, really damn good bat. Like you can compare the Shohei numbers right now for their seasons. He is marginally worse. He is 4% worse offensively than Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Shohei did have the pitching. You did kind of outline nicely how they've gone away from him pitching a little bit here because, as we know, the Dodgers are going to rest everybody up and get ready for playoff time. But Pico Armstrong is having a nearly same heights as Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. type season. Like, if you look at their numbers, this is just like 28-year-old Ken Griffey Jr. He's having a statistically better season than him. Is he reaching that over 1,000 OPS just over range? No, but he's got a 950 OPS, Pico Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, or sorry, he's got a 930. But like that's still unbelievable, right? When you combine it with that type of defense. Am I saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer? Not yet.
Yeah, probably a little on the early side.
Would I be surprised? No, I wouldn't. I'm just saying that it's right up there with some of the greats at the center field position. And if you're a New York Mets fan right now, I can't believe what you must be thinking because you got a couple months of Javi Baez. That turned out well.
Yeah.
You didn't miss the playoffs at all after trading away Pico Armstrong. So, I mean, PCA, I'm actually with you here. He would probably be my MVP. Because also, I know what they talk about in the NHL with the, the Hart Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Connor McDavid's got it too much. Let's get somebody else in there.
I'm not sure we've experienced that same level of voter fatigue
Thank you.
On a guy like Shohei Ohtani.
That's what I was looking for.
Because what he has accomplished is essentially we've never seen in baseball, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that same level of voter fatigue has set in. I'm sure it has a little bit, probably a little more voter to voter, person to person. But is that little bit of voter fatigue enough to give PCA the edge this year? I think it might be, and he's every ounce deserving of it in what are two obviously great cases in the National League this season.
If he continues on this pace, and if you look at wins above replacement, he outdoes any single Shohei Ohtani season he's ever had.
Yeah.
So I'm not this huge WAR guy, but I'm just saying, like, when you combine that level of defense into this offensive package, that is something you rarely see. And I think this is going to be the season where everybody goes, Shohei's won it too much. Not that he's not deserving of it, but this is not the best Shohei Ohtani we've ever seen.
Right.
This is like the fourth best Shohei Ohtani, fifth best Shohei Ohtani. So, like statistically, this is his fifth best season so far offensively. So when you combine those things and the fact that he's won 4 of the last 5 MVPs, I think this is the year where you see PCA deservingly win it.
Well put. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as the morning progresses. We've got another great lineup on tap for you here on a Tuesday in mid-August. So we're going to open things up with our buddy Alan Soslowski from RotoWire and SiriusXM Fantasy Radio. A little NFL talk with a fantasy focus. Lots of drafts coming up, draft orders. Maybe we'll ask Alan what he thought of how the Blue Jays determined their draft order at Rogers Center the other day. Mark Spector by at 8 o'clock for his usual hit. Liam Harobin from DFO Edmonton will pop by at 8:20. We'll do a little off-season check-in and get our Oilers fix with Liam. And then in 9 o'clock hour, calling Livingston from Cantork. F1 season resuming this weekend at the Dutch GP. And then 9:20, Jensen Lewis, our buddy, former MLB pitcher, by the books on VSiN Live. He'll dip into this MVP discussion and the rest of the major leagues of baseball with us in the 9 o'clock hour. 10 o'clock, we'll hear from Cam Tate with Cam and Eggs. And to round out the show at 10:20, Mike DeRocco, ESPN covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, will continue our Around the NFL previews here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Alan Soslowski, RotoWire, Sirius XM Fantasy Radio with us right after the break. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G this morning. Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, both alongside. You can watch the show. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch, and it's brought to you by Bet365.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, denim man. Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
Summer weekends in Alberta mean one thing. Tournament season.
I brought the folding chairs. I brought the sunscreen.
I brought the umbrella, just in case.
But who brought the snacks to get through a doubleheader?
I got Alberta's best beef jerky.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky. The ultimate sideline fuel. Whether you're cheering on the kids or watching the pros, load up on Alberta's best beef jerky.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Because you can't have summer fun with salad. Only available in Leduc.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need, when you need it, 24/7, 365, every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
Allen Olson Auctions invites you to bid on the 2026 Rimby pre-harvest consignment sale open for one final day today at allenolsonauction.com. Don't miss this massive auction sale featuring an impressive lineup of machinery, including tractors, combines, haying and harvest equipment, tons of new and unused skid steer attachments, trucks and trailers, construction equipment, sea cans, tires, and so much more. Call Allen Olson Auctions at 403-843-2747 or visit allenolsonauction.com and bid now.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas
on Edmonton's sports leader,
Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
To the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G this week as he continues his great humanitarian and moral high ground efforts down in Calgary, helping out at the Gretzky hockey camp, tying skates, pushing pucks, all the things that Tom Gazzola outside of the studio is more than qualified to accomplish. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick alongside in studio as well. Show brought to you by Bet365, and excited to welcome in our first guest of the morning, our old buddy from RotoWire and Sirius XM Fantasy Radio on Channel 87, Alan Soslowski. Alan, good morning. Welcome back to the program, and thanks as always for taking some time with us up here in Edmonton.
Brandon, don't cover for that guy, Tom. You know he's out goofing around on vacation, and you're sitting here doing all the heavy lifting. Let's not give that guy any props, man. Come on.
Well, Alan, I'll say this. You're not alone in that sentiment because Tom took over for Kevin retired at the end of June. Tom has worked, I think, just as many weeks as he's taken off now at this point, because it's already his second round of holidays. What kind of profession can you get away with that, where you take 2 separate weeks off within your first month and a half of taking on the new job?
Well, his cousin owns the radio station, so now we know exactly what's going on here. All right, listen, we'll do the heavy work. We'll take care of business over here, Brandon.
We absolutely will, Alan, and I always love catching up with you because you keep it real and you lay things out there as you see them without pulling any punches. Let's start at the quarterback position because so many leagues, individuals getting ready. They're doing their mock drafts, probably some rookie drafts coming up. And then, of course, everybody's big spectacle of their redraft and maybe some keeper leagues mixed in. At the QB position, there's one player in particular that I want to start with. And this isn't necessarily on the fantasy front, but a guy that seems to have fallen in a favor a little bit with maybe some experts, some predictors. And that's Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Like this is a guy that is still a couple times MVP, maybe even should be 3 if you look at the one season he didn't win behind Josh Allen, but he's still very effective in both the pass and the run game. When you compare him to, say, some of the other top dual threat quarterbacks in the likes of, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and certainly some others in the mix these days as well, is the fact that Baltimore finally made the big shift at head coach, Jesse Minter taking over. He's a defensive-minded guy, and then he brings in first-time OC Declan Doyle to run the offensive side of things. Is that any cause for concern around like Lamar Jackson, or are you still as in on him as you've ever been?
Yeah, you correctly identified that Lamar Jackson is no longer like a hipster pick. Like you never pick him in a fantasy draft and get like in the chat, like good pick. Everyone's like, whatever. But what happens is, somebody else, they wait on quarterback in their fantasy draft and they get Brock Purdy. But what happens week 1 when you play the Lamar Jackson team? He puts up like 35 fantasy points. And you also hit on a really good point about how Baltimore's going to have a new infrastructure. Now, we're going to find out if the old infrastructure was holding Lamar back a little bit because the rushing touchdowns were almost not really existent. When they get in close, they give it to Derrick Henry. And the running even has kind of been less. And also, Lamar Jackson's had a little bit of injury. We want to say bad luck, but at some point, health is a skill or it's just diminishing. So Lamar Jackson in fantasy football, still a top 5 quarterback by average draft position. But and also the price on those guys is also gone down. So in past years in fantasy football, if you wanted one of those super elite guys, you probably had to pay up in the top 35 picks of your draft. Now to get someone like Lamar Jackson, you're looking at like 5th round, 6th round. So the price has gone down commensurate with the output. But in real NFL football, Lamar Jackson's still one of the elite guys. And what do we know about some of the running production? It does diminish with each year. The worst case was Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers quarterback from a bunch of years ago. As he got a little bit older, we saw the rushing production just diminish. But I still think Lamar's in the late peak of his career, and I like the infrastructure of Declan Doyle and Jesse Minter. So I think that we could see Lamar Jackson end up being one of the surprises. And I love that you identified him because he's truly the, quote, boring guy that used to be the exciting guy.
Right. And I think you can probably put the likes of, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow among those, slam dunk guys at the top of most people's draft boards for a variety of reasons, right? Now, there is kind of this wave of new exciting quarterback options for you. And I think headlining that is a guy like Drake May, who's coming off the Super Bowl appearance, wasn't great in that Super Bowl, but throughout the regular season really took advantage of a favorable schedule that the Patriots played. They're not going to have that same favorable schedule this season, and they're likely to see some tougher matchups on a week-to-week basis. Are you buying all the new stock on Drake May as, say, a top 3 QB off the board, and maybe in tandem with that, comparing him to a couple of his draft mates in the likes of Jaden Daniels amid all of his number controversies going on right now, and then, of course, Caleb Williams in Chicago with the Bears? Of those 3 guys, all 3 dual threat options in different ways, how do you kind of stack them up in the QB rankings?
Yeah, I think that Drake May is worthy of his QB2 ADP in most of these drafts. But like you said, you just named a bunch of guys. The QB position has never been cheaper for the elites, and it's never been more expensive for the backup quarterbacks. And when you take Drake May in your fantasy draft, who is probably like a 6th-round pick if you're looking at like the high-stakes ADP, you feel good about it because you have a sturdy guy who could run on an ascending offense, who paid a 1st-round pick to acquire A.J. Brown, who's still probably in his late peak. But what happens is, what I've noticed in these drafts is that you end up looking at the guy who got Dak Prescott in like the 11th round, and you start saying, man, I passed up on a good running back in the 6th round to take Drake May, and the guy who has Dak Prescott is really going to pace me from fantasy points. So this isn't really a question of like, does Drake May deserve his ranking? He does. But in a single quarterback league, which most of us play in, and especially in your league where you're competing and trying to kick the crap out of your buddies in your office or your friends or your college team, the idea is like, what's the opportunity cost? So as much as I love Drake May, and I think he is probably the next superstar quarterback in the NFL, I think it's probably best to wait and take one of those, quarterbacks in the 10th to 12th to maybe even the 15th, while everyone else, and you're going to be scooping up all the running backs and wide receivers. Now, if you're in a league where people are going crazy, taking quarterbacks super early, you have to adjust to that market. Right. You've been in these leagues, Brandon, when like Patrick Mahomes went like in the middle of the first round. You're like, what is going on here? So be ready to strike. But I love Drake May. Caleb Williams is another guy you brought up. Man, does that offense look loaded with Ben Johnson as the head coach in year 2? Caleb looks like he could be a top 5 quarterback this year, and the price on him is great. In fantasy football, he's like the 7th to 10th quarterback off the board. He's somebody I would target because you can get him a few rounds later than Drake May. Although, again, Drake May, man, he could end up breaking fantasy football in a great way with his rushing ability.
Alan Soslowski from RotoWire and SiriusXM Fantasy Radio, a guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy this week. Now, I'm going to stick in New England, but jump over to the running back position as we kind of dive into that position group. TreVeyon Henderson, like out of college, super dynamic, right? And we kind of saw that as the season progressed last year. He got more and more opportunity inside this Patriots backfield, but a pretty clear dynamic that he is still second in the pecking order behind Ramondre Stevenson when both are in the lineup. Is that enough to keep you scared away from a guy like Henderson? Or is that a player that you have tabbed in your queue and just waiting to chomp at the bit to grab him and hope that he can kind of bust loose and take over that de facto number 1 job?
Yeah, just, what scares me about TreVeyon Henderson, and I love the upside, I love the dynamic play breaking ability, but what did we see in the NFL playoffs? We saw them not trust TreVeyon Henderson at all. It was the Ramondre show. Now, in year 2, a lot of these guys, the game will start to slow down from him. And let's take a look at the prices, right? I never hate players. I just hate the prices sometimes on players. And you're going to have to take TreVeyon Henderson, the second-year running back, probably around the 5th round, running back number 24-ish, maybe, somewhere around that zone. And Ramondre Stevenson is going to go a couple rounds later. And again, it's one of those things where Ramondre Stevenson, the 28-year-old running back, is probably the, quote, boring pick. We all love getting the proverbial good pick in the chat. No one's going to high-five you when you take Ramondre. I'm a Ramondre guy, but I acknowledge the upside of someone like TreVeyon Henderson. The problem is in the 5th, 6th round of your draft, man, is that could be a home run or it could end up being a miss. I think the downside that early on in your draft is worth passing on, but I'm not going to fault anyone for going after him. But if you're taking my advice, if you're looking at my rankings, I have Ramondre ranked ahead of TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah, you're so right about that point in the playoffs where like Vrabel's an old school guy, and I think the big test will be how Henderson adapts in year number 2 to take on some more of obviously the blocking responsibility and not just being an open field play or game breaking type dynamic guy with his shiftiness and speed and all of that jazz. Now, continuing in the running back discussion, the 2 names that sit atop, I think everybody's list, regardless of position or anything, they're probably going to be the first 2 names off the board in most people's drafts in leagues this year. And it's uniquely similar situations for Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Obviously, both get the new big contracts late this summer. And both guys go from having a tandem setup where they relied, teams relied pretty heavily on the backup quarterback at different times and almost to the detriment of their fantasy value, snatching TDs away from the times in the likes of David Montgomery and Tyler Algier. Both those guys are playing in new cities this season. So is the ceiling even higher for Gibbs or Robinson, or is it just going to be a matter of plug and play with the new guys Pacheco and Brian Robinson Jr. in behind them on their respective depth charts?
Oh, you got my neck hair standing up with this one. This is a fun topic right here. The Bijan versus Gibbs debate has been one of the most asked questions we get over at RotoWire. And what I answer is This is like someone asking, do you want birthday cake or chocolate cake? There's no bad answer here, right? You have your preference, which one you like, but, they're both going to be amazing. And I think it really comes down to quarterback play because you correctly and smartly identified that some of the Nat players, the ones that'll buzz in your ear and annoy you, the vulture touchdown guys are gone, right? There's really nobody left to stop these guys from both having like 25 fantasy points per game this season. It could be an epic season. But look at the quarterback play. And that's really the reason I say quarterback play is because the quarterbacks make the offense go. And on the Lions side, you got Jared Goff, who's a professional quarterback, former number 1 pick, good infrastructure there, even though they have some offensive line questions. So that probably vaults Jahmyr Gibbs to the top spot because when you look at Bijan, you have Tua, who's never been great, right? I mean, he's been okay. He's been able to support fantasy options, but post all those concussions, he looks more like a backup quarterback. And then they have Michael Penix, who's always a big question mark, and he's not even healthy yet. So when I look at the 2 quarterbacks, which one of those guys can keep the offense on track? That all points to Jahmyr Gibbs. That said, Bijan Robinson, man, he's a fun pick. I don't think he's even missed a game in his NFL career yet. Sturdy and durable as ever. I wouldn't fault anyone for taking Robinson's number 1 pick, but if we're just parsing it out by which one has the higher upside, these guys both have tremendous floors. It's probably Jahmyr Gibbs, although I must be transparent. When the money was on the table and I was in the draft the other day, I clicked the button on Robinson.
Wow.
I took a lot of crap in the chat for it, but man, I do understand the Gibbs case. That's why I'm making it here.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, I don't think any drafter or GM is going to be displeased with either player result. Of course, barring the dreaded injury bug and things like that. But yeah, such dynamic guys that I'm excited to see maybe get cut loose a little bit more inside their respective offenses this coming season without those Nat handcuffs that you touched on too. So now at the other end of the spectrum here, and I mean that in terms of teams that we know are not going to be very good, but do have some really interesting running backs inside their system, and that is down in Miami with Devon Achane, who at least I was surprised, kind of re-ups to stick in that rebuild process the Dolphins are going to go through. Ashton Dempsey in Vegas, and then top draft pick Jeremiah Love in Arizona. I do not expect any of these teams to be particularly good this season, but each of these players should be the driver of their respective offenses. Now, when it comes to Love, rookie factor, Genty second-year player, and then Achane, the veteran. These 3 guys in particular, is there one that you really like more based on experience, team fit, schedule, anything like that pops out for you?
Yeah, these are the picks right here that people are scared to make because of the offenses, and I get that, right? But in Devon Achane's case, man, he is such a good player. I mean, he's an outlier. When was a 180-pound running back going to be like one of the best guys in the league, right? But I'm not as nervous about the Miami offense because Malik Willis is a mobile quarterback. They're newly signed Malik Willis, and generally that's good for the running back. And I've heard people make the counterpoint that, hey, instead of dumping off to the running back, meaning throwing them the pass when the pocket breaks down, that the quarterback will go off and run, and that takes yardage off of the running back's plate. Also, the other side of that is that they have to account for someone like Willis because he's such a dynamic runner, that's going to open up lanes for Achane. So I'm very comfortable drafting Devon Achane in the middle of the second round or early second round because he's such a good player. Now, the point with the rookie Jeremiah Love is that he just suffered an ankle sprain.
Right.
And, already you talked about with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, who was vulturing touchdowns from him from the last couple of years, is now got a real money to play in Arizona. So I think that was going to be a problem for him. So the price on Jeremiah Love has come down. In early draft season, for those nuts like me who have been drafting since February, been drafting teams, he was like a second-round pick. Now he's falling to like the 4th round. So the price is right. It's not often that you see a rookie running back drafted in the top 3 of the real NFL draft become a 4th-round fantasy pick. So the risk is all baked in. I would take Jeremiah Love in that 4th-round range if you can get him there in your home league, because it's not so much about what he's going to do in the first 4 weeks of the season. It's that he's such a super talent. And if you believe in the talent of someone like that, it's about what they can do when the money weeks are on the table in your fantasy playoffs. So I co-sign on his price. We talked about that earlier. And then you talked about Genty. He's a 1st-round pick. There's so many other rock-solid options in that range that I have not drafted Genty. But it's not like I don't think he's going to be a good player. It's just I like the other options better. You have to pay up to get Genty. So yes on Jeremiah Love, no on Genty, and very on board with Achane and his talent at his current price.
Talking all things fantasy football with Alan Soslowski from RotoWire and Sirius XM Fantasy Radio, channel 87 on your Sirius dial. Now, you talk about Love as kind of the highest upside rookie, and at least from a draft capital perspective in this most recent outing, and I think that'll probably be the case in some dynasty drafts as well. Now, there were a lot of receivers that went off the board earlier, but where do you see a guy like Jadarian Price falling? And is it too simple to say that because they move on from Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet coming back from injury, he's going to get a really strong look to prove himself inside the Seattle backfield, and as a result should be worth a little bit higher inside some dynasty drafts compared to the other receivers on the board?
Oh, I'm with you, man. Jadarian Price, the reason he gets dinged is because he was the backup running back at Notre Dame last year and behind Jeremiah Love. But the guy scored 15 touchdowns as a backup in college. Now, I know the college game is not the same as the pro game, but the guy gets drafted, Jadarian Price, in the first round of the real NFL draft, be it the last pick. That is elite draft capital, and they are planning to use him. Now, you can look back to years past, like where the Chiefs did this, where they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in that same position. And he ended up being okay his first season, but really ended up being a bust long-term. Jadarian Price, when you look at that college production, and by the way, those touchdowns included 2 100-yard kickoff returns. And you say, hey, I don't play in a league with kickoff returns. It just shows that the explosiveness as a player, if he can return 2 of those. So I'm down with Jadarian Price. Now, you talk about in redraft, he's probably like a 5th or 6th round pick. So that seems very fair. And in Dynasty, I agree with you. Look, the Jordan Tyson, the Saints wide receiver, already out for 2 months.
Yeah.
If you're in a rookie or Dynasty draft and you're like picking 4th or something like that, and both of those guys on the board, give me the running back. Elite draft capital running backs on good teams like Seattle, and they just let their Super Bowl MVP Ken Walker walk out the door. Man, give me all the Jadarian Price that I can fit in my wallet. You know, he's a good player and a great pick.
Alan, last one for you, and it is admittedly a very personal one, and you can like I said, don't pull the punches, Alan. Don't pull the punches. I have in one of my keeper leagues. Am I insane for wanting to use a 14th round keeper on the Texans defense in a 15-round draft?
So, I mean, yes. The answer is, it depends on what your other options are, right? Mm-hmm. So the chances are that that defense will probably go earlier, right? Let's say they go in like the 9th round. So you are probably going to get a good amount of value there. But let's look at their schedule, right? So sometimes it's not something I would do, but I understand if you don't have any other options there. So it's sometimes good real defenses don't translate to good fantasy defenses, but I don't think it's crazy. It just seems like you might be able to get them, in the 10th round anyway.
Right.
And then you free up your keepers. Now, if you don't have any other keepers, that's your best value. You just do it.
Yeah.
So is it one of those things where you might be able to keep something else, or that's your best option?
Yeah, well, I'm keeping Gibbs in my last year as a keeper on him and as a 3rd rounder, and then Caleb Williams as a 5th rounder for my QB1, which I'm kind of loving and it's a super flex league too. So after that, it's a lot of kind of mushy middle stuff. So I was hemming and hawing and thinking, I want to draft, like that's the defense I've honed in on. I want to get. And as a round drafted last year, +1 14th round, I'm kind of thinking, you pointed out, like value wise, that might be the best spot to use it.
Right. Now, here's the problem. In week 1, they play the Buffalo Bills. That's a tough start.
Mm-hmm.
And in week 2, they play the Bengals. That's a tough start.
Right.
So already you're keeping a team where in probably the consensus rankings, they're going to probably be like the 8th or 10th defense. Right. So they're going to be tough starts in week 1 and week 2. So that's why I probably would not do it. But if you have the room on your roster, man, the schedule will lighten up pretty good for them. They'll have a lot of good matchups coming up, including that October 11th matchup with the Titans. They'll be facing the Colts late in September, and then maybe the Giants a little bit later on. So the advice here, don't do it. But if you have to do it, I am not going to hate on you. So be careful. Buyer beware there.
No doubt about it. Alan, great stuff as always. Your show's coming up at 11 o'clock Mountain, 1 o'clock Eastern today on Channel 87.
You got it, my brother.
Awesome.
Every Tuesday at 1 Eastern, I'll be there on SiriusXM Channel 87.
Love it. Look forward to catching up again very soon, my friend. Take care. Good luck in all your own drafts and everything as we get ready for another NFL season right around the corner.
You too, my brother. Talk to you soon.
Alan Soslowski, RotoWire, and SiriusXM Radio Fantasy Channel 87. He said every Tuesday, 1 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Mountain. You can catch him over there on SiriusXM Radio. When we return, we will tip into the CFL, a little more cleanup from week number 11 and start to looking ahead to week number 12. The Elks, Friday night at home against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. How different is this Bombers team compared to the one the Elks took on earlier this season amid that hot win streak that Edmonton used to kick off their campaign? And we'll also talk a little bit, we're bringing Josh Fenwick, this sale of the Lakers in Los Angeles suddenly garnering a lot more drama than maybe originally expected when the $12+ billion sale was announced last week. That, plenty more to come. Spec, Liam Harobin, and more in the 8 o'clock hour as well. It's the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, and Donovan Paulson all in studio with you. Show brought to you by Bet365.
Don't let rookies scratch your custom wheels. Evolve Wheels and Tires uses premium touchless equipment designed to protect your wheel and tire investment. Trust the enthusiasts at Evolve Wheels and Tires, Edmonton's premium wheel specialists. Evolve your ride. Evolve your experience.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
What if one moment changed everything? The turn of the key to your dream home. The roar of the crowd from your Oilers season seats. The trip you've always talked about. With the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery, winning is just the beginning. For you and for them. You could win the $2.4 million grand prize show home plus $100,000 cash and more incredible prizes. And every ticket makes a life-changing difference for Stollery kids and their families. Change lives. Support Stollery kids. Be mighty. Get your tickets now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Here's what you need to know about Lux Windows. We work hard. We come in early, we stay late, we go above and beyond, and then we go a little further. Not for awards or a pat on the back. We work hard so that choosing our windows and doors is an easy decision for you. It's the Alberta way. It's the Lux way. Everything we are is windows and doors. A company born and bred and made in Alberta.
The Tom Gazzola Show. All gas, no brakes. Edmonton's sports leader. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
$7:48 in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom. Day 2 of 5 before I take my own little jet-setting holiday out to the Big Smoke in Toronto. I'm going to take in some Jays games next week. And good song choice there, Donovan, as Donovan Paulson and Josh Fenwick alongside in studio as well. Cam Tate not in studio, but listening along from home and using his or doing his usual contributions with plenty of notes and anecdotes that he'll drop into my inbox as a helping hand throughout the morning. So shout out Tater. He just couldn't quite make it in this morning, but that's all right. Now, the reason that song choice is appropriate, Donovan, because I put that last question out to our guest, Alan Soslowski, one of the very best. Love chatting with Alan, several times throughout the course of the football season. I wanted him to tell me how smart I was for doing that. And instead he's like, nah, man, why are you using a keeper on a defense? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
As he told you all interview how smart you were for asking certain questions. And then he comes out there and just absolutely guns you down.
And probably rightfully so. I get it. And nobody wants to hear about my fantasy team, so I'm not going to dive into all the other options. I just did that to you guys in the commercial break, but that's because you can't go anywhere. You have work to do, so you can't leave. Listeners can quickly turn off the dial as I start running down my fantasy team. So great chat with Alan. Always love talking football. A few texts had come in, 1-833-401-1440. This one from Steve. Should I keep Genty or Chase Brown in Cincinnati? Interesting one. Donovan, what do you... And listen, Steve, I will say this. When it comes to keepers, position always matters, right? Like, what round pick are you using to keep them? If it's the same, I'd probably say Chase Brown. But if you're using like a 7th round or 6th round keeper on Genty and Brown's a 4th rounder, I might him and haw on that a little bit more. I think that's pretty good value for Genty because he's a bona fide number one. The Raiders really, really improved their offensive line. And you look at like all the numbers for Genty last year were staggering in the wrong way of like yards before contact or negative, right? He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage almost every time he touches the ball. But the upside is obvious, right? The Raiders went out and made him that pick in the first round for a reason. And but I still think Chase Brown is probably the safer pick. Once again, draft position dependent. What say you, Donnie?
So the player who I'm actually the most out on this year is Ashton Genty. It's not because I think he's garbage or anything. It's just because I look at that situation and I go, regardless of how much it's improved, I still look at what's at quarterback and the uncertainty behind it. And I say, right? Like,
you don't like Kirk Cousins?
I don't like Kirk Cousins. You don't know what you're going to get out of Mendoza. That's the truth. I think everybody thinks he's going to be good.
I'm actually not sure Mendoza will play until the season is already well down the tube. And I'm talking like second half of the year at least. Maybe last quarter of the season.
That's part of the point, right? And that's part of the problem with the whole situation is you don't know what's going to happen with Mendoza. And when he does come in, maybe he's not good. Like sometimes rookie quarterbacks, it takes a while. Genty is one of those scary red flag, just covered in red flag type of players for me. Chase Brown is a player who I look at and I see no red flags. And when I depends on, obviously it all depends on where you can keep them, like what round pick you're giving up to keep them. However, Chase Brown is, in my mind, one of the safest players in fantasy football.
Oh, because Cincinnati's offense is going to be good.
And
he's a good pass catcher.
If you're in PPR, he is a smash.
Yeah.
Like everybody looks at Chase Brown and goes, but he's not that talented compared to the other guys, which sure, maybe he isn't, but he has the situation. He has everything you could ever ask for. He's attached to a big money, huge, one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the league in Joe Burrow. He's attached to an unbelievable offense. He's a double-digit touchdown scorer. Like he is, if you're in PPR, the points per reception are unbelievable. He's the player. He's gonna be my, he's my second round pick. I'm just telling everybody that. Hopefully the fellas that are in the league aren't listening.
Oh, they've got you nailed, Donnie. You're done.
But
buddy.
I think they already know that. They know how high I'm on Chase Brown. So, Genty just scares me. He's my number one player who I just way too many red flags.
Now, I want to bring in Josh Fenwick here. Josh, of course, our digital producer and show expert when it comes to the hoops and our basketball front. Josh, it's an off-the-court discussion, but it is raising a lot of flags around basketball circles. So for anybody that hasn't seen it, the Lakers last week, right, reported selling for a valuation of $12.5 billion by Mark Walter, who 1 year ago bought this controlling interest of the team from the Buss family. 1 year later, turns around and sells it to Kushner and Bob Iger, Josh Kushner, that is. Now, the Buss family has reportedly agreed to sell their remaining 17.8% share of the team to the same pairing, which obviously would give them essentially If it's not 100%, it's very near to it at this point, I would think. Now, Jeannie Buss, who has been the controlling interest of this team, I believe, since her father passed away.
Correct.
Since Dr. And if you've watched Showtime, the Lakers HBO thing, awesome program. Cal Naughton Jr. What's his name? Riley.
John C. Riley.
Thank you. The three name thing was tripping me up. John C. Riley's portrayal of a Dr. Buss is unreal. Jeannie Buss is in the show, and you kind of get a look at her having interest in the business, but I digress. She is contesting the vote by her siblings, who are all kind of in on this together, to sell this remaining percentage. Do you have it? Are you in on this any more than I am, Josh, so you can provide some extra insight about like what the heck is going on in Los Angeles around this?
Yeah, so it was not a good day for ESPN yesterday because they also falsely reported on the Kawhi aspiration stuff that the NBA had found no wrongdoing. The head communications officer came out and was like, all right, the NBA had no say in what came out in this article. There are many infactualities. And so, yes, yesterday, he got community noted, Shams Charania, because she's the controller of the team. She can void the sale of the Buss ownerships. And so this is a full letter that her lawyer put out, is that their 17.8% ownership stake of the Lakers is not going. Like if she's out, it just doesn't happen.
So it's a vote by the siblings because they all are part of this board of trustees that continue whatever the actual legal jargon is. Apologies, I'm probably getting it wrong, but she essentially has a veto over it in any capacity, or is it just in selling interest, or
I don't.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
No,
so
I've been reading the email. Luckily you brought this up before we went to break, so I could go and double check everything. But yeah, so basically she does have a veto when it comes to controlling interests of the team because her dad named her as his successor to the running of the team. And so the two siblings leaked this to Shams, and it's being described as what's the word? Defamatory. Defamatory against Jeannie Buss in attempt to force her to sell the Lakers, basically. She's a real tough case. I don't think that's going to happen. But really, it's just that, ESPN reported on something without, this was in 2017 that it was official that she controlled all of this stuff, that she could veto any sale or anything like this. She is the controlling owner. And they were just like, you know what? Whatever happened in 2017, it doesn't matter. Let's just put this out here. So the siblings want to sell, obviously. They want to get their payday. They just saw the $12.5 billion valuation, and they want to get their money's worth. So this is really just a black mark on ESPN more than anything else.
Well, an off-season storyline we will keep tabs on, as is the ongoing Kawhi saga. Interesting stuff there, too. But we got to jump aside for a break. Mark Spector with us for his daily 8 o'clock hit. When we return before that, a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fusion Promo Marketing. Expand your brand, high-quality promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Get noticed at fusionpromomarketing.ca. That's Fusion with a Z. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action from yesterday. The Rays bounced back and snuck past the Orioles after a late innings rally, 7-6. The Phillies topped the Marlins 6-5. The Cardinals and Reds split their doubleheader by a score of 2-1 and 6-5. In extras, Ellie De La Cruz, his first career walk-off winner in that one. The Tigers got the better of the Pirates 8-5. The Red Sox demolished the Diamondbacks 11-1. Some NFL news. The Colts have signed former Chargers great Keenan Allen on a 1-year, $8.3 million ticket. And Saints rookie wide receiver Jordan Tyson will be out 2 months with his third career hamstring injury. Coming up next, it is Sportsnet's Mark Spector. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
Recently, our company softball team lost a big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
Starting this Thursday, 3 days only. Don't miss the VIP Overstock sale at Wolf GMC Buick. They're seriously overstocked with over 400 pieces of inventory on clearance and ready to move. Explore the entire inventory right now. Click on the clearance tab at wolfgmcbuick.com. Plus, employee pricing continues. And during the VIP Overstock sale, stop in for even more special incentives. That's Thursday through Saturday at Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete and septic tanks to blocks, precast water pads, Jersey barriers and aggregates. Farmers, contractors, homeowners. Plan your next project at BashawConcrete.com. Family owned. Over 60 years pouring. Bashaw Concrete Products. Once again, start here. BashawConcrete.com.
Caesars is Alberta's anytime, anywhere sportsbook. Stay in the action with your favorite teams and players. Whether you're camping, kayaking, or catching a show this summer, bet wherever you are, whenever you want. Plus, Caesars Sportsbook offers fast payouts and flex parlays, a new way to keep your bet alive even if a pick misses. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today.
Must be 18 or older and physically present in Alberta to gamble. Must be 21 or older to use Caesars Sportsbook. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please play responsibly.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Just after 8 o'clock, welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom this week. The show brought to you by Bet365. Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson in studio as well. If you want to watch the show, you can do so. See our ugly mugs, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Twitch, or of course online if you prefer the straight audio format. AM dial, tune in, iHeartRadio, and our own website, sports1440.ca. Not joining us on camera today is Mark Spector for On the Mark, brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Mike and his team at Northgate care about the community. And for the rest of August, proceeds from every vehicle sold will go towards the Summerland wildfire victims. Only at northgategm.com. Spec, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Are you out and about today, or what's going on?
Yeah, did you say watch the show? Like, it's hard enough to listen to the damn show. You're expecting people to watch it too.
You think that's bad, Spec? Donovan was trying to get me to take my shirt off earlier because something's happened to the air conditioning inside the studio. So if you're planning on having a hot tub at the lake later today, you can skip that. Just come in for your 5 o'clock hit with Connor. Do it in studio, and you'll be sweating out every problem you got.
Oh, that sounds like a smelly place. Remind me to avoid it at all costs, buddy.
As the sports guys here inside the Stingray building, we already do carry a little bit of that reputation. And I'm not saying we're all walking around smelling like reeking of BO and stuff, but there was someone in this building once that came. She's like, every time I walk past your guys' studio, past the door, it's like, it definitely smells like it's a bunch of guys that work in there all the time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's okay. It's a bunch of guys that listen to us too, so we're okay with that.
Exactly. Mark Spector from Rogers Sports Net, daily 8 o'clock. Hey, on the mark with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show. So, Spec, here we are. You know, second half of August is in the full throes. Baseball continue to roll on. The Jays will open a set in Tampa Bay, a place that has not been very kind to them in the past. But I wanted to start with your team, the Cubbies.
Oh,
man. PCA, it was my opening little soliloquy of the show, pleading his case for MVP. And I'm not like stretching out on a limb. I think he's still second in odds if he hasn't leapfrogged Shohei in the last couple days or even week or so. But man, you got to be excited around this team in Chicago. And I think it's all the better when the White Sox on the South Side are having a great season too. Like Chicago's just such a good sports town. I know you've talked about it a lot on this program.
Yeah, I watched actually pretty much the whole. I mean, had it on the whole White Sox Cubs game last night, and what a fun atmosphere, right? Like, you know, because no matter who got a hit, people cheered. Like it was, those interleague games are fun that way, especially when it's, you know, Angels, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets. Like the atmosphere of the park was unreal. And Pete Crow Armstrong, man, guys would say to you that he would be probably the most exciting young player in the game right now. Like, he reminds me of Pete Rose, the way he hustles, like he stretches singles into doubles every day. You know, he plays center field. He's got great speed. He covers just a ton of ground out there. And he hits for power, which is, you know, Rose never really hit for power as much. He obviously had 3,000 hits or more. Well, many more. But anyway, this kid, like, he's like a young Charlie Hustle, man. And he for sure is the MVP leader in my mind, not just because he's a Cub, but he's really doing it at the most important time of the year for his team.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of seeing Shohei win it just because he also pitches, you know?
Right. Yeah, and that's something Donovan brought up too about the little bit of voter fatigue. And you know, more than almost anyone would get that front and center on the NHL front, where you see Connor McDavid, right, dominate the NHL, and to varying degrees, right? Not every season is better than his last, but he is perennially the most dynamic player that this league has to offer. And he doesn't win the scoring title every year, doesn't score 40 goals every year. But take us inside that a little bit as a voter for these league awards about, you know, voter fatigue. And is it real? Is it something we kind of imagine from the outside looking in, or how would you describe it?
I think that, like, there is voter fatigue, but in a different way. Like, not, oh, I'm sick of McDavid winning, so I have to vote for someone else, but more so, it's almost like Shohei has to live up to his previous seasons.
Right.
So if I voted for Shohei Ohtani the last 2 years as my MVP in the National League, and now this year he's not pitching, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and I don't know what his numbers are year over year, but they almost, like, if they're the same or not quite as good, he almost works against himself. Now, here comes a new guy, Pete Crow Armstrong. We haven't had him in the conversation. He's obviously having the best year of his life. Shohei probably isn't having the best year of his life now. It's just kind of another Shohei year, which is obviously a great year because he's a great player. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if McDavid gets 150 points and wins MVP, and next year he gets 140 points and it's a close race, there is a part of every human, it's in human nature to say, well, you know what? He wasn't as good as he was last year, and maybe this other guy deserves a shot. So, sure, there is voter fatigue exists, but I don't think it's the same way that people think it is, where Mark Spector says, I'm tired of voting for that guy, I'm going to vote for another guy no matter what the numbers. It doesn't quite work that way, but I think it exists for sure.
Is it fair to say that maybe that voter fatigue is a little bit more of, you kind of just grow numb to the accomplishments of someone when it is perennially happening? Like when Shohei hits 40 bombs every year, well, now this year he hits 40 again. It doesn't impress you as much. Like I said, it's not a personal thing where you say you're tired of voting for him, but as you pointed out, you kind of almost get a new level of expectation for that tier of player. And if they come up just shy of it, or even just crested instead of blowing past it, you say, oh, kind of a down year for that guy, even though they're still among the league's very best.
Yeah, they set their own bar.
Right.
Guys like that set their own bar. And very few are Wayne Gretzky that set the bar 200 points,
Right.
right? Like that's a little different. If you have 200 last year and you get 195 this year, you're likely still getting my vote.
No doubt.
But yeah, no, there's no question that, and I think there's variety's a spice of life. And once, I also feel like a first-time guy really appreciates the award and it really treasures the award. And once you won 3 or 4, we've heard McDavid say it a million times, right? We've won enough Hart trophies around this dressing room. That's not what we're here for anymore. So
right.
I don't mind, like, if spreading the love is the tiebreaker, I'm not totally against that.
Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. So let's use that to transition into a little late August or mid-August offseason Oilers talk spec. We are under a month away from training camp, and I know that itch is starting to creep back in on the back of some of our necks about getting ready to get back at hockey. But I guess as a really simple and blunt question, as we do have a little bit of runway in here still, are there 2 or 3 storylines throughout training camp that you personally are particularly invested in? We've talked about, the battles for the final couple of spots on the 4th line or 3rd line, however you shake them out, this goaltending trio, the logjam at the back of the defense. Because when you have the same group of players together, as long as this Oilers group has, just kind of moving some of the periphery parts around, some of the regular storylines kind of grow a little tired. So what are some things you're particularly interested in heading a month from now?
Well, first of all, I think they all revolve around Mike Babcock. This guy's coming in here like a tornado. His reputation far preceding him. A controversial hire that the Edmonton Oilers leadership group has been far more involved in than any coaching hire I've ever seen before. This is a coach that was, I'm not telling you he was hired by the players, but they sure have spent a lot of time pumping his tires here.
Right.
To sort of almost justify the hire or tell people, hey, don't believe what you hear. What we know is he's going to be great. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in certainly what's the plan on these 3 goalies. Like I've never seen what's Anderson going to play? Like 30 games? I've never seen a number 1 goalie. He's supposed to be your number 1. I've never seen number 1 play 30, 35 games. So that's going to be different. And I guess, how does Babcock handle Draisaitl and McDavid? What's his plan there? I don't think we'll get that answer necessarily in camp. But, 4th line guys, I don't know. They sort themselves out.
Right.
Trent Frederick had a 7-point season last year. Like, I always liked Trent Frederick as a guy, but this is really a career season for him. Like, don't come back and give me another 10-point season because now you're an AHL player.
Right.
Right? If you're telling me you're playing this full season in NHL and you got 7 points last year and you're going to come back this year and get 15, well, now you're an AHL player and you got 6 years left in your deal. So he has to show me that he can play at least on the 4th line. Like give me a solid physical presence and give me 25 points. I'm not asking for much here, but you got to do something to tell me that you belong and you deserve a place on this team.
Yeah.
So that's 3 guys. The rest of it'll fall into shape. Ike Howard interests me. Can he have the year, the first NHL season that Matt Savoy had last year? Will Babcock be patient enough with Ike Howard? That's a huge question, right? Will he hang around while this kid finds his legs, or will he give up on him by the end of November? All of those things are out there. I think we got plenty of time to rate those tails.
No doubt. And so let's kind of focus in then on the Babcock situation for a minute here, Spec, because we're like, I think it was pretty, as you said, controversial on the decision to pursue him as a head coach. And that was made plenty for those of us in this industry to talk about and write about for a number of weeks as that scuttle made its way around. Then the hire becomes official and you kind of say, all right, well, they've done it. Maybe I personally don't agree with it or don't like it, but I'm still covering this team. I'm still, if I'm a guy that's down in the locker room or at the games, talking to this guy on a day-to-day basis. As a professional, Spec, is another kind of pull back the curtain a little bit here, off-season talk for you. Like, how do you really toe that line where maybe you did write a piece saying, I didn't like this hire, and it's the precedent of it doesn't speak well to his character and whatever situation it might be. And it's not specific to Babcock. You can use whatever example you choose. But then to go in there and say, you got to sit down, ask him questions today. Is it a matter of you hope that he can treat it as a professional, you're just doing his job, and then you expect him to do it in kind and still, answer your questions honestly and field them as he would of anybody that maybe didn't write or say those things about him when he was hired?
Yeah, well, listen, the guy comes with a million red flags.
Yeah.
Right? Like hockey people, the background for me is when the Oilers get a new player, if I don't know the player, I phone some people who do know the player and people I trust. And those people give me an idea of what kind of player he is, what kind of guy he is, and they're almost always right because they're smart and they're good, honest people that I trust. And in my career, I got a lot of those people, and they tend to be right. So a lot of those people told me that Mike Babcock's done some horrendous things.
Yeah.
The Johan Franzen situation, some of the things, the whole Mitch Marner thing. Like, there's a lot of good people out there that I know and trust that are telling me this guy's, his history is very reminiscent of being a bad guy.
Right.
So, okay. So that's, I've written that. It's written in the annals of sports writing history. It's down. Now we go to camp. I'm not going to walk up to the guy every day and ask him, are you going to be a what today? We're going to let it unfold, and we're going to watch him closely. And I'm watching for things with Mike Babcock that I never used to watch for when it came to Chris Knobloch, because I didn't have to watch to see if Chris Knobloch was going to beat up on a young player. But we're certainly going to watch how Babcock handles his young players. And we're certainly going to watch how Babcock handles, let's say, a guy like Frederick. If it's not going his way, oh boy, I wouldn't want to be Trent Frederick this year. Let's say, he's got a reputation of going really hard on guys who he considers to be not fit enough. Well, if I'm a goalie on this team and maybe I'm a little soft, watch out, right? History tells us Babcock's coming after you. So those are the things I'm looking for. And I'm not going to invent them. If they happen, I'll cover them. If they don't happen, we won't cover them. It's a long season. But if you expect me to show up at the rink every day and ask Babcock probing questions about who he's beaten up on today, that's probably not going to happen. You just can't operate that way.
No doubt. Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet with us here on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tom Gazzola this week on the morning show. So, Spec, what's on tap for you here on a Tuesday? It's supposed to be another nice one out there, I think, right?
Yeah, well, I just walked the second hole at the links talking to you. I'm playing golf with Jim Bailey from Fountain Tire. They really help us out at Sports Central a lot. Fountain Tire is a huge sponsor for the Mark Spector Golf Classic. I'm playing with a couple other guys from the tournament, and we're just having a nice day of golf. I just missed I love the second hole at the links, the big dog leg around that pond.
Yeah.
I got a good look at it, but I didn't play it. So I told the boys, just give me a bogey and let's tee off on 3.
That's a way of playing golf I can appreciate, Spec. There's no doubt about it. And really quickly, you bring up the Sports Central thing. Some of the people in-house here, including our Lord Commander Marty Stevens, they were going out to check out the new facility yesterday afternoon. They went and did a little tour of it.
Oh, good.
Have you had a chance to check out the new digs?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
I've been there many times.
Right.
I would say to anybody out there who's ever usually there's a million places to drop off your bikes and your ball gloves and stuff. Every United Cycle, every police station, fire station, all that stuff. I would say to you, if you've been around Edmonton for a while out there and it's fall and maybe you're going to give away some of your kids' old, too small hockey equipment, don't just drop it off the fire department this year. Go out. It's on 173rd Street and about 103rd Avenue.
Okay.
Right? So it's not that far. Not all the way out to the CFRN building, the old Team 1260.
Yeah.
If you're dropping something off this year, folks, go have a look at this place. It's compared to the old dive we had behind the Coliseum Inn for the last 40 years. It's unbelievable how well it's done. The Oilers helped us with it. The Eskimos Elks helped us with it. All kinds of people have chipped in. People who build like kitchens and counters and interior construction all came out and gave us volunteer time. It's unbelievable, the place. So
awesome.
I would say to you, walk in with your hockey bag, drop it off and say, I want a quick tour because it's a beautiful facility. In fact, I got a meeting there on Friday morning and I'm looking forward to it.
Last one here. I got a text when Marty went and toured it. They got a little display right at the entry where there's some kind of antique or vintage sports equipment. Including a pair of big wood skis on the wall and this picture of it. Text from Marty. That is exactly what Marty texted me. And the best is he sent it to Kevin himself and he said, "Are these the skis you donated?" And Kevin replied, "No way, mine were high efficiency."
Yeah, those wooden skis were actually the next model after the one.
Yeah, they were the updated one. They're
the updated one.
Unreal. Spec, good stuff as always, my friend. Have a great day. Hit them straight out there, and we'll chat with you tomorrow.
All right, boys.
Mark Spector, on the mark, powered by Northgate. This truck's for you. When we come back, we can continue a little August Oilers talk mixed in here on a Tuesday with our buddy Liam Harobin from DFO Edmonton. We'll chat about how the rebrand's been treating him, how things are rolling with him and the Chucker for ONE through the summertime, and I believe some personal news for Liam this summer as well. All that when we return, our headliner of the day, Liam Harobin from DFO Edmonton. It's the Gazzola Show, on Sports 1440, brought to you by Bet365.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Photographers, start your cameras. Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest is back. We're asking you to show us the people, places, and moments that made you glad you chose this rural life. Maybe it's the view from your farm, a walk down Main Street, neighbors pitching in, a weekend at the rodeo, or a sunset down a back road. Share your photo to show why life in rural Alberta is a choice worth celebrating. Enter and vote at whatsyourshare.ca.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, Denim Man. Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we're here to stay.
Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom this week. We got Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson alongside, and Cam Tate, part of the show, but remotely, doing his usual work from home, dropping in some great tidbits that we will get to over the course of the morning. Just after 8:20, which means it is time for our headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter Plumbing. Because your pipes take a beating on game day 2. Ready for overtime, even when your plumbing isn't. MrRooter.ca. We welcome back Liam Harobin from DFO Edmonton. Liam, good morning. It is still taking a little time for me getting used to saying that when introducing you and the rest of our friends from DFO Edmonton, of course, formerly, prominently, Oilers Nation.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it kind of caught me off guard even when you introduced me as that before the commercial break. It's obviously a significant change, but I think one that'll be beneficial for all of us that work at DFO Edmonton.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously it's kind of a tough page to turn. And we touched on it a little bit last week when we had Zach Lang on, another regular contributor to the show. But you know, it's still very green, and it's kind of, you guys are working the transition in a process, and it's not just one fell swoop. But how has it been treating you so far? If you know, that's a fair thing to ask.
Well, I'll be honest, not much has really changed on the side of like being at the office, and like our show is the same. Like we've had to slightly adjust how some of the shows are said, I guess you could say, but at the end of the day, like it's the same guys and like the people online. Like there seems to be this thing that Daily Face-Off bought Oilers Nation, which was just not the case.
Yeah.
It was actually the other way around many years ago. So it's just a way to like connect us all, I guess you could say. And yeah, I mean, it's been good, I suppose. I think people are still getting used to it, but it is what it is. I think it's just down to us to prove, as much as we want to say things won't change and it's all the same people. It's like, well, let's just show the people. And I think the people who are like overly critical of it, I think you could probably go back and find some other comments they wouldn't have liked we made when we were Oilers Nation. So I'm all about keeping the people around that have enjoyed the content for so long and are good of it, rather than trying to win over the people who have disliked us for so long anyway. So good.
I think that is, at least from my observation from the outside looking in, is the biggest thing that I'm trying to express to people that have reached out to me and asked about it. Like, the takeaway is nothing's changing. Like, the content's the same, the shows are the same. It's just a different name, a little bit more kind of collectively across our great nation with all of the nation network properties and stuff. So everything else is staying the same. There's no big big brother hand coming in and all of a sudden putting their hand over your mouth about things you can and can't say. It's the same shows, same great people doing them, same great coverage on the website as well. So looking forward to that as we progress back into this upcoming season, as Liam Harobin from DFO Edmonton guesting with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. So, Liam, on the off-season front, it's been pretty slow for a while now, which can give us times to mull things over, but also go a little bit stir-crazy and, diving back into the same handful of topics over and over again. I just asked the same question to Mark Spector, and I'll pose it to you as well. Heading into training camp, which is just under a month away now, what are maybe 2 or 3 storylines that have your interest particularly piqued about the 2026-27 Edmonton Oilers?
Well, I think the forward group is quite interesting because there's a lot of guys.
Yes.
They've obviously they're probably going to have to make a couple of like hard cuts, I would say, to like true professional players. So I'm very intrigued by that side of it. And based on like the positions of where guys could fall, like I'm kind of midway through writing an article right now, and it's quite the domino effect of like, what do you do with Ike Howard? Like, he had a really good rookie season in the American League. I think it's actually quite underrated how well he did. Like the amount goals per game he had, it was like every other game he was scoring a goal. I did some research. Very few players have done better than that since kind of like the COVID era. There was like Jack Quinn and Logan Stankov and Ethan Frank were the only rookies who scored 20 or more goals to have a better goal per game ratio than Isaac Howard as rookies. So that's really impressive. But the one fault Ike Howard is he's not a bottom 6 player. And when he was in Edmonton, he struggled when he played with Adam Henrique, and he had a stretch with Jack Roslovic when he was fine, but Roslovic isn't a center, so that makes a difference. So it's like, okay, are you really going to put Ike Howard on the third line next to Jason Dickinson and whoever else who also aren't driving any offense, or are you going to elevate him into a top 6 role? That would also mean demoting Vasily Podkolzin or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who probably deserve to be in the top 6 role, but can also play probably more valuable time on the third line than what Isaac Howard could do. So I'm intrigued by that. I think the Josh Szymanski side of things is quite intriguing too, for the idea of who's really competing with Szymanski for the 4th line center. Like, they're probably going to have to put a winger there to like just add some extra competition, unless they're really going to spread themselves down the middle and have Nuge and Dickinson as your third and 4th line centers, which I don't fully see them doing. So I'm curious about those 2 rookies. And then also someone like Trent Frederick, like it's not been good when Trent Frederick's been here, but I think he was promised a lot when he signed this deal in terms of like a role, killing penalties, maybe a middle 6 role more than a bottom 6 role. And it's just not gone his way. And sure, that's on him as well. But he did start the season last year next to Leon and McDavid on the first line, and then somehow ended it by being healthy scratched most of the season. So I think he needs to find what he's going to be, and I would give him a shot on the penalty kill. I know it's not been something he's really done throughout his career, but you've got him for 7 more seasons, and you should probably find out if he can be a penalty killer. So yeah, those are the 3, Szymanski, Howard, and Frederick, I'm intrigued by.
So on the topics of Szymanski and Howard in particular, you mentioned it like there are a lot of forwards all vying for what is a matter of only a couple real available spots, particularly on a night-to-night basis, right? And any NHL season, of course, is going to have some turnover in the lineup. Injuries happen, and guys go through cold streaks. They take a turn in the press box. Those are all the things we know about the game of hockey. But what is almost working against a guy like Howard and Szymanski to an extent, despite the lack of competition for the fourth line center spot, is that they can go back to Bakersfield without needing to clear the waiver wire, which cannot be said about any other forward on this roster except for Matt Savoy, who, based on first full year in the NHL, is not going to happen, right? So is that working against those guys, or do you see Babcock coming in and saying, I don't give a lick about waivers, we'll put you through, we'll risk losing you? The players that earn the ice time and the spots are the ones that are going to play, and will kind of set that, call it roster management or organizational depth management thing aside to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think Howard more than Szymanski is probably the one who's more on the worry of that side of things. Like if Howard starts in the season in the American League, I don't think people should sour on Howard. I think it's just a circumstance like we just kind of going through here of like how many players are on this roster, and also is the saying is not how you start, it's how you finish, right? Like he could go to the American League and I'll like honestly have the ability to score 10 goals in 10 games and be like, well, we have to play him in the NHL because he's just too good not to. I think the interesting thing about like some of the other bottom six players, like you look at someone like Joseph, who has a relationship with DJ Smith in LA and I think Ottawa as well. And it's just like, okay, they clearly brought this guy in because he understands how to kill penalties, play roles that DJ Smith wants to. So does that mean he's going to make the team out of camp? Like I would suspect. Like I do wonder about Matthias Janmark. Like he does make 1.4 million. He has a 10-team no trade list somehow. He didn't play a lot last season. Obviously, he finished the season injured. So it's just like, do you want to spend that much money on a guy like that when you can just keep Szymanski in the league, or you give Colton Dock a few extra minutes? Like I think him and Howard, honestly, are kind of like the two forwards who I'm really unsure, like where they start the season. So I think it's intriguing, but yeah, I think Howard's the one on that two-way deal who's probably the most in the worry.
Liam Hurlman from DFO Edmonton with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas in for Tom this week. So then on the back end, Liam, and I'll pose this question to you with a few, explaining factors mixed into it. How confident are you in the Oilers blue line today compared to 1 year ago, heading into each of these respective seasons? Because you have a great year from Evan Bouchard after the rough start, Norris Trophy caliber type season. Jake Wallman last year, after his first impression on the team, we were all very high on. He gets a new extension, but he struggled a lot last year. Matthias Ekholm's another year older. You add the likes of Ryan Shea and Connor Murphy to the fold, and then you've got some pretty good depth at the bottom end of it, but you lose the statue and consistent nature of Darnell Nurse. So it's quite different perspective-wise from a year ago with the different faces as well. So how confident are you compared to one calendar year ago?
Well, I think a year ago, The Athletic had the Oilers ranked as like the number one defense. Or maybe it was a year before or something like that. I can't quite remember. So I'm a little lower than number one in the league. I think I'm probably like a 7, to be honest. I think another thing from last season too was like how good Brett Kulak was, right? In those playoffs. Like with Ekholm out, Brett Kulak stepped up and did really well, and then started the season so poorly, and then obviously finished well with Colorado, got a new contract. So yeah, I'm like a 7 out of 10. I've been thinking about Wallman quite a lot. And like last time I was on the show, I mentioned, I don't think it's how the Oilers start the season with their blue lines. I'm very interested to see how it ends. Like how does Matthias Ekholm kind of survive 84 games? And do Wallman or Ryan Shea elevate themselves so much that they should be playing alongside Evan Bouchard? Or does Ryan Shea become really good with Connor Murphy? So yeah, there's a lot of layers to it. So it's probably the most interested I've been in the Oilers blue line for a while, because it feels like over the last few years, like, hey, yeah, they added this guy and now they're just a little bit more solid here, and blue line's never really a concern. But yeah, over the last 12 months, they've lost 2 huge contributors from the 2 cup runs in Nurse and Kulak. And Wallman, for me, I would honestly play him with Bouchard. Like I think that's who he's best with. I think the problem with Wallman was he was just spending too much time in his defensive zone, and he needs to be up the ice. And obviously Bouchard has the ability to get up the ice. And it's not to say Ekholm isn't good enough to do it anymore. I think Ekholm's just a very versatile player that you can throw up and down. And just on Ryan Schaefer on the left side, like, he's very interesting. He only played one full season in the league, and he looked very impressive. I think the Oilers have a good deal with him, $4 million. So I'm curious to see how well he can do in a new environment. But yeah, it's I would say, to answer the question, I'm like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about how different the dynamic is heading into this year than seasons past, because in at least the past several beginnings of the season, it was pretty much a staple of, you knew this is your top pairing with a bullet. Not much is going to change that. Darnell Nurse and Brett Kulak are staples on the left side in pairings 2 and 3 respectively. And then after that is where a little bit of uncertainty maybe still existed. But this year, as you pointed out, there's a lot more flexibility and possible fluctuations of where guys could be playing and with whom they could be playing as well. So last one for you, Liam, and it's more on the personal side. You got married this summer, correct?
Yeah, I did get married. I got married actually 1 month ago today. Happy anniversary to me.
There you go. Yeah, not your wife. Happy anniversary to you.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Did you get here in the city?
Yeah, I got married out in Shore Park at just a Greenland Garden Center. It was awesome. I've never been married before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But it was a really emotional day. It was also absolutely boiling. We got the hottest day of the summer, and it wasn't even close. I think one of my buddies on the day was just so hot, and he looked at his phone. He said it felt like it was 37 degrees, and then it basically just rained every day since then. So it was really cool. We went to Maui for our honeymoon. We got back 2 weeks ago. So that was cool. Then a hurricane just absolutely blitzed through Maui and the Hawaiian Islands the last couple of days. So dodged that. But yeah, 1 month in, and so far so good. We're still together.
Well, obviously, congrats on that front. And I have to assume there was a pretty good collection of your cohorts from DFO Edmonton at the wedding, or at least the party after the fact. Is that a safe assumption?
It's a good assumption. The Edmonton crew showed up, and they enjoyed the open bar, to say the least. Like most people
open
did.
bar, man. This new DFO partnership must be more lucrative than I originally was presented.
It was a Ukrainian wedding. The uncles wouldn't have been very happy if it was if the bar was cost them anything. So it was a really fun day. We did the reception at Broadmoor Golf Course, which, if you've been there, it's a great course, and the kind of reception room or whatever, ballroom, I guess, was great. And there was a huge storm that night too. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, a lot happened on that day. But yeah, it's been great.
And then who was the biggest partier? Anybody with shirts off, ties on their head, or anything like that come the middle or end part of the night at the party?
Honestly, like all my buddies, it's kind of a thing. Like once one guy gets the tie around the head, a couple of buttons come undone, all of a sudden everyone's girlfriends or wives just know about what's about to happen. And we have a friend who's called Brennan, but we call him Borneo. And when the song Gloria comes on, we put him on our shoulders and we replace the word Gloria with Borneo, and that's really what gets the party going. So yeah, awesome. There was a few guys who I think, I wouldn't say regretting what they did, but definitely will be remembered for what they did.
Yeah, we're maybe hoping that it wasn't. They were hoping that the wedding photographer had already called it a night at that point, and maybe didn't have too much of it captured on film. Can relate to that. Hey, I've been there. I've been there plenty of times.
All have.
Also, never been married, so put that in on my resume for the time being. Liam, good stuff as always. Congrats on the 1 month anniversary. Enjoy the remainder of the summer here, and we'll look forward to catching up with you as we get closer to preseason and training camp getting underway.
You bet. See you guys. Have a good one.
You too. Liam Harobin, DFO Edmonton, formerly Oilers Nation, and our headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter, dropping the gloves on every clog pool. That's mrrooter.ca. Donovan, you're a documented Casanova, real pistol. You're giving me the gears yesterday. So that tells me that you are on the flip side of it. You're very wealthy in this particular department. When you get married, will it be an open bar?
Buddy, I haven't even thought that far ahead yet.
You don't have a little binder with all your wedding plans in it?
Buddy, I'm no.
Oh.
What do you think I am? There's an obvious follow-up to that.
The kind of guy that would have a binder with all of his wedding plans in it. Clearly, that's why I asked the question. That's who I think. That's the kind of guy I think you are. What about you, Fenny? You're the only guy here, at least from what Donovan tells us. You're in the stable relationship despite your current ongoing spat with your future,
all right,
potential future mother-in-law.
Hey.
Anyway, we don't need to dive into that again. I gave you your chance yesterday to recant, and you chose not to. What about you? Open bar?
Oh yeah, I hope so.
You hope so. Listen, circumstances matter.
Yes.
You might want to have an open bar, but
simply not be able to afford it.
Times are tough out there.
Yeah.
We can't all be big wheel Liam Harobin.
But listen, if there's one choice I get for the wedding, it will be we're opening that gosh diddly darn bar up.
Babe, what do you think of these flowers? Scrap them.
Scrap them.
Save the money. Head to Costco.
We need the Jim Beam.
12 carts of Kirkland vodka, please.
Ooh.
And thank you.
Bottled in the same place as Grey Goose.
That's what they say. They say the same thing about the Kirkland golf balls, that they're essentially
they're
the
just Pro
cast-off
V1s.
The cast-off Pro Vs.
Which, hey, fine by me. They swing
good.
good.
I play
They hit
Kirkland's
good.
all
They're
the
a
time.
good balls.
I buy them by the bucket.
That'd be.
I've said this to you before. I'm not good enough to give a crap. And then the problem is I get gifted these nice golf balls. Like shout out on Friday when I was playing at the Legends Old Hickory Classic, and I was playing with the Wiz and Piercy from the Ranch, the two pros out there, and awesome. Like they're unreal golfers. They're pros for a reason. They're just great guys, great hangs. And then the Babber, Corey Bablett's another one of Carrie's buddies that I've met before. And then, they each say, here's a little sleeve of Pro V1s with Bablett's Financial Wealth Management. And then Wiz gave me a box of Pro Vs that were Dallas Cowboys theme ones. He's like, we didn't have any Texans ones, so I figured this was the next closest. and I'm just saying, I'm like, this is wasted on me. I can't express how appreciative I am of the gesture, but these are just going to end up in the woods or in the ponds, or at best in the rough where I can't find them because I'm blind trying to watch my own tee shots go off the tee.
But you're giving it the old college try.
Yeah. So instead I just say thank you. And I keep them as a keepsake more than anything. And it'll be down to until I'm desperate enough to bust into the Pro Vs, or I'm playing at a track where I'm confident enough in an ability to not lose as many balls that maybe I'll bust those out.
Broadmoor Public Golf Course.
Well, that's where Liam just got married.
Just
Beautiful place.
Yeah, I know. That's why I bring it up. But keep it away from hole 6. Dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
That's the lawn. It's a par 6 that says it's short, but it plays long. I tell you what, you got to hit over the water.
Text line 1-833-414-40. We'll dive into some of those messages when we return, as well as a little look ahead to the Edmonton Elks Friday night matchup with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from Commonwealth Stadium. In the 9 o'clock hour, we'll talk some racing. F1 season resuming this weekend. Colin Livingston will be by. And then we'll talk baseball with our good friend Jensen Lewis, former MLB pitcher, hosted by the books on VSiN Live at 9:20 before going in or out with Donnie and Josh at 9:40. All that, lots more in between still to come here. It's the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, and Donovan Paulson all with you. Watch the show. It's streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. Brought to you by Bet365.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
Need an excuse to upgrade your ride? Well, we got a few to share. Go Auto has over 18,000 new and used vehicles ready to test drive right now. With more than 70 locations, your perfect match could be closer than you think. A family-friendly SUV for soccer practice, a fuel-sipping commuter, or a hardworking truck that's ready for anything. Trusted brands and a team that's actually happy to help. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Do you know why people love working at GS Construction? It's honest work. It's work that needs to be done. And we're really good at what we do. That's why GS Construction has been in business for over 50 years. We won't be wearing a top hat and tails, more like hard hat and boots, because we're heading underground to keep the water flowing in and out of your homes and businesses in Edmonton. GS Construction is currently looking for experienced pipe layers and top men. Visit gsconstruction.ca/careers today.
Struggling to find skilled workers? What if you could fill your talent pipeline with motivated, pre-vetted youth and receive funding to support your efforts? At Careers The Next Generation, we connect Alberta employers with interns in skilled trades, IT, agriculture, forestry, and more. All WCB covered, high school accredited, safety trained, and ready to contribute from day one. With 83% of RAP students continuing their apprenticeships after high school, investing in youth today means securing your workforce for tomorrow. Don't wait. Visit careersnextgen.ca to get started.
Feeling overwhelmed by debt? Concerned about what the next few weeks or months will bring for your finances? My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. You don't have to navigate this alone. Together, we can review your options and build a personalized plan to reduce your payments and get you out of debt so you can breathe again. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to book your free consultation and discover your debt-free future.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
$8:45. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G this week. Josh Fenwick, digital producing, keeping us on track online. And Donovan Paulson on the ones and twos, making sure we roll through our programming on time. Our text line, 1-833-401-1440, is bumping and jumping. We'll get to those in just a moment. But this show, the Tom Gazzola Show, brought to you by Bet365. Check out Bet365's early payout for baseball. When your team goes up by 5 runs, you get paid out immediately. No stress about blowing a big lead. Download the app and see what early payouts all about. Now, this one from Chad Eady came in on the heels of our conversation with Liam Harobin last segment about the Oilers roster management and how they're going to dance this line, because if you're carrying 3 goalies, that means 1 less spot to carry an extra player. Simple math tells us that. So he says, is Doc waiver eligible? And the answer to that is no. Well, I guess it depends where you're phrasing it. He is not waiver exempt. He would need to clear waivers to go down. That's his new deal one way. Of the players that Edmonton could send down without needing to clear waivers, it's a pretty short list. If you're over at Puckpedia, the only current player on the Oilers collection of 12 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders that can go down clear without waiver clearing is Matthew Savoy. And as we pointed out with Liam, I can't see that happening barring something pretty brutal for the start of Matt Savoy's season. Right? I think he established himself as a no-doubt full-time NHLer last year, and his versatility in the lineup is also what makes him valuable. The same, I'm not sure, can be said just yet for the likes of Ike Howard. Because what does Ike Howard bring? Brings offense. Scorer. Great shot. A contributor that seems most poised to succeed inside a top 6, playing alongside other skill players. Now, if we rewind to yesterday's conversation with Lowtide, he wants Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as the team's 3rd-line center. That gives more flexibility to where you can play Howard, in Lowtide's opinion, because Nuge is a skill-based player, also solid 2-way. And so it's all of a sudden, if he's not on the 1st or 2nd line, can now Howard still find a spot in the lineup on line 3 and be in a, once again, position to succeed. However, I do think that when you just simply look at the current makeup of the Oilers roster, barring a trade that, shuffles the deck a little bit here, either preseason, just before the season starts, I have a hard time seeing a world where Howard, I know everybody's interested to see how Clattenburg can make an impact on the lineup, and to an extent, even Josh Szymanski, because guess what? Those 3 guys do not need to clear waivers. Every other player on the Oilers' current roster does. Now, would they all clear, or are you worried about losing Matthew Joseph, Matthias Janmark, Spencer Stastny, right? Is there worry about losing them if they go through waivers? Maybe not. Like, you're okay with them being picked up by another team, opens up the roster spot for you, and clears the money as a result too. But none of them make a huge dollar figure. We're talking $1.5 million for Stastny, 1.45 for Janmark, and Joseph at $1 million. He'd probably be the least likely because, as Liam pointed out, he has some history with DJ Smith. Seems like the most likely to carve out a bottom 6 role, penalty killing role, etc. Donnie, where do you land on this discussion around the log jam at the bottom of the Oilers lineup and names most likely to find themselves on an opening night roster, or at least opening night, on ice roster, or at least in the press box, as opposed to being on the Bakersfield Condors roster?
So I would suggest this. I think Matthew Joseph and Matthias Janmark are competing for one spot. One of them will be gone because they're the exact same player. It's just one is 29 and one's 33. To me, they're both very limited offensively. They're there primarily for their defense and PKing. So I would suggest that those are the 2 same players. They're fighting for one spot. I think there's a real chance that 2 of the... I think Howard's up to start the year. I'm not sold Josh Szymanski is. As much as I think everyone wants to pencil him in at that 4C hole, I just don't fully know. Because you're not going to waive Colton Dock.
No.
You're not going to waive both of Joseph and Janmark. I think you can safely say one of them's here for sure. I just don't know which one. So I would suggest that there's one of Szymanski or Howard up here. Maybe both, but that would be I guess it all depends on who you're all waiving, because I think Spencer Stastny probably gets waived, and I think one of Joseph or Janmark gets waived. So then that, I guess in theory, that gives you enough roster spots for both.
Spots, right? Yeah.
For both, in theory, gives you enough for both, but then you kind of get into a logjam of do you really want young guys sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have them playing? I'd rather have them playing. So if Szymanski's going to be in and out of your press box, is he better off just staying in the AHL? In my mind, probably. But then again, he could be the locked and loaded 4th line center. But you've also seen some other guys in this bottom 6 group have center roles in the past. So I don't know. I'm not sold on anything other than, as I previously mentioned, Joseph Janmark. Those are the same player to me. Just one's 4 years younger. I probably lean Matthew Joseph.
This one from Gen X Jeff. Jari is going to be the chip that they can use to keep their roster clean by dropping him and bringing him back. As in, I think, you put Jari through waivers, especially at the start of the year, I don't think anybody's claiming him. Right? Unless a team suffers some real substantial goaltending injury during camp or preseason, I can't see a team being interested in claiming Jari on the waiver wire. But then I'm pretty, the way the Oilers did this offseason, I have to think that they have a pretty good inclination to carry 3 goalies.
This is 3 goalies.
At least to start the year. And try and let them play it out amongst themselves. And then from that point, decide where they want to go. Because you can't trade Jari away. I get it. He was not good last year. And I didn't like the deal from the first point. We don't need to retread all that. But you can't trade him away, because if you're left with just Anderson and Levi, 2 goalies that I like, and the upside for each of which is tremendous. But Levi has not established himself as a regular NHLer yet. Excellent AHL goalie. And Anderson's injury history is a no-doubter, has to be considered when in this discussion and in this notion. So,
and also Devin Levi's not proven.
That's what, like I say, he's not a full-time, he hasn't proven to be a full-time NHLer. So if he's your backup, that's okay. But you probably assume, and I mean this in the sense like the Oilers, the coaching staff, the management, assume at some point this year Anderson is going to miss time, and you're going to need whoever's behind him to play a string of games.
And you traded a third-round pick for Devin Levi. You're not just waiving him, so you know he's locked and loaded.
Yeah.
And can you afford to be left at the altar with an injured Frederik Andersen and Devin Levi, who could be terrible? Like you, if you're the Oilers, you have to assume worst-case scenario, right? Which is, let's say Freddie Andersen goes down. Let's assume Devin Levi, for this case scenario, he's bad. Then you're left with just Tristan Jarry again. You can't be left at the altar with no goalie. And some team, let's be real here, some team with cap space could decide to just screw them. Not saying that somebody will claim Tristan Jarry because it's a bad deal, obviously.
Yeah.
But if they waive him and some team goes, there's always that possibility, right? And then you're left at the altar.
And then we'll finish with this one before getting to the top of the hour. Dylan had mentioned, he's like, he disagrees. Those players are assets. If they aren't going to play, they need to be traded. Can't give them away for free. And then he follows up with the asterisk, unless there is no suitor, which is an important caveat on this. As you just said, Don, the other teams are aware of what's going on. They're not blind. They're like, not every team is operating in their own bunker with no knowledge of what's happening elsewhere. If teams see the Oilers are in a roster crunch and there's offers out there for a cheap acquisition of Matthias Janmark or Matthew Joseph or Spencer Stastny or whatever, to pick your player that falls out of favor in camp and preseason, and they say they can gauge around with their own feelers and say, are other teams interested in this? And if not, someone's going through waivers. We can get a player for free instead of having to give up or their offer is that much weaker because they don't feel the need to pay a even decent price for one of these guys, right? This is a lot of ifs. And as Speck kind of pointed out when we chatted with him in 8, that's why we still have training camp, why we still have a couple preseason games, is for a chance to some of us to try and flesh itself out before some of these decisions need to be made and hypothesized about here in mid-August. That doesn't mean it's not fun to talk about and throw some ideas around of potential scenarios. I'm not demeaning this conversation, but maybe, just maybe, things will play themselves out here in the next month and change. Top of the hour, he's in studio. You know him, you love him, you can't live him without him. Colin Livingston can torque back from Toronto and ahead of the F1 season resuming this weekend at the Dutch Grand Prix. We'll chat about some of that, some motorsport stuff with Colin. And then at 9:20, our buddy Jensen Lewis, former MLB pitcher, by the books on VSiN Live. We'll talk some MLB as it heads into the final month and a half of its own regular season. Then we'll go in or out with Donovan and Josh at 9:40. Before that, let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by AWS Welding Supplies in Nisku. Product sales, servicing, calibrating, and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. Your one-stop shop, for all things welding, awswelding.ca. Here is Donovan Paulson.
The Sports 1440 update.
MLB action from yesterday. The Rays bounced back and snuck past the Orioles after a late inning rally 7-6. The Phillies topped the Marlins 6-5. The Cardinals and Reds split their doubleheader. Ellie De La Cruz walking off the second game of it for the first time in his career, gets a walk-off knock. The Tigers got past the Pirates. The Mets just sneaking by the Padres 2-1. The Red Sox killing the Diamondbacks 11-1. NFL news: the Colts have signed former Chargers great Keenan Allen on a 1-year, $8.3 million ticket, and Saints rookie wideout Jordan Tyson will be out 2 months after the third hamstring injury of his young career. Coming up next, time to look at some racing with Colin Livingston. I'm Donovan Paulson. That is your Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Mr. Rooter cries like a little tiny baby child.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you've got a package from Mrs. Rooter.
Aw, the card says, "Thank you for our unbreakable bond. You're the Pro Press fitting to my copper pipe."
Ooh, what's in the package, Mr. Rooter?
Let's see. It's a Plumbus 2000 spud wrench. She knew I'd never buy one for myself.
Just like tears. It's flowing or it's free with Mr. Rooter.
I love that woman.
Thinking of growing your business? In partnership with Prairie's Can, the Alberta Chambers of Commerce is helping businesses explore new opportunities, new markets, and build connections through organized trade missions across Canada. Find the right mission for you at abchamber.ca/trade missions.
The Chicken Parmy Burger, McExtreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them. You've screenshotted them. You've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Step into a night of pure pop magic with Arrival, Canada's ultimate tribute to ABBA, live October 9th at Pure Casino Yellowhead's Pearl Showroom. Experience a high-energy celebration of ABBA's biggest hits, brought to life by a world-class six-piece band featuring dazzling costumes, tight harmonies, and unforgettable stage energy. Tickets from just $44.99. Get yours now at Ticketmaster. Don't miss Arrival, Canada's ultimate tribute to ABBA, October 9th at Pure Casino. Pure entertainment, pure action, and pure imagination.
Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete and septic tanks to blocks, precast water pads, Jersey barriers and aggregates. Farmers, contractors, homeowners. Plan your next project at BashawConcrete.com. Family owned. Over 60 years pouring. Bashaw Concrete Products. Once again, start here. BashawConcrete.com.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Nine o'clock in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G today and the rest of the week as he enjoys a little time away. But despite what some say, he's not relaxing on a beach somewhere. He's not ripping up margaritas in Las Vegas or anything. No, he's just down the highway in Calgary doing the Lord's work, helping out at the youth hockey camp, hockey school. The details might be lost on me a little bit, but helping out his buddy Ty Gretzky with how their operation down in Cowtown. He'll be back next Monday morning. In the meantime, the show is still brought to you by Bet365. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply. Excited to continue. New staple here on the morning show as we welcome in Colin Livingston from Cantork, our in-house racing motorsports expert. Colin, Good morning. Thanks
going
for
on, man?
popping by. Good to see you.
Looking forward to it here.
Excellent. So you were out in Toronto, or Toronto area, I guess, this past weekend, and I'll lead into it. It was right on cue. This text came in from Sean, 1-833-414-1440. Boys, since you're having Colin on, I was at the Markham Indy on the Friday. What a crap show. Been to many Vancouver and Edmonton Indies. Have never seen anything like that. Forklifts, golf carts everywhere. And you were just telling me in the commercial break here, I want you to lay out the whole weekend and the events that you were obviously there being a part of and stuff, but a little last minute, the way this kind of ended up getting put together in Markham this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, what was the texter's name?
Sean.
Sorry. Obviously, if you were only there Friday, you didn't get to see an awful lot. It was just construction. We were supposed to have the track finished. IndyCar, all of our series were supposed to have at least practice, if not qualifying, on Friday. And the track just wasn't ready. They didn't have the tire barriers in place. They didn't have them conveyor belted. They didn't have them secured, which meant that they were not going to get certified by the FIA to run. Now, we maybe could have gone on track. NASCAR has our standard. The Radical Series has a different standard, and IndyCar is at the very top. We could have potentially had a lower certification issued, but everyone worked through the day. We even saw the promoters physically building the tire barriers as we were doing kind of reconnaissance laps on Friday night. But everything ended up working out. We had a compressed schedule. There's obviously going to be fallout. The biggest thing that we take away from it, and what was kind of most disappointing, is not that, stuff happens.
Yeah.
There was no announcement. There was no update. So we had, our paddock, and Sean, come and see us next time, either in NASCAR or Radical. Absolutely love to meet you. Our paddock was we were tucked a long, long way away. We weren't anywhere near the main guys, but we were in the infamous turn 5 hairpin, or just outside the hairpin. And the grandstand at turn 5, it was 60% full all day.
Really?
People just kept sitting there not knowing what was going on. And again, I think about 6 o'clock at night, 6:30 at night, IndyCar finally put out an update to say, okay, IndyCar won't be on track today. But again, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people at the venue. Friday is a free day. All you had to do was, guys were working on it. We don't know, or guys, it's not looking good. But I know there's going to be a laundry list of things that need to get worked on and improved. It was the first year for the event at this location, but run by the same people who always did the Toronto Indy. So definite it'll definitely
learning
get better
experience, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying the part of the reason why this did get a little hectic and stuff was because of this transition, obviously, to a new location, but then going from an actual you mentioned the exhibition grounds in Toronto, but then to a new street circuit that they kind of built and put together in Markham to try and transition this event.
I think the biggest mitigating factor was the fact that it's on the GO train line, and that a lot of the parking lot for the GO train station at I think it was called Unionville was used for grandstands. And so the event didn't get access to everything as early as they wanted or expected. So everything just got compressed. But it'll only get better from here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Does Colin Livingston from Cantor joining us in studio on the Tom Gazzola Show, talking all things motorsports and racing. So apart from that, once everything that gets sorted, how was the rest of the weekend out in Ontario for you guys?
So for us, we ran 2 different series. Alex was driving in the NASCAR Canada series with our number 80 Tej Motorsports guys. And then we also raced in the FEL M Zone Radical Cup, which is our Tag 1 Motorsports group. Cars were fast, which we haven't been able to say all year, but the cars were fast. In Radical, we managed to take the pole Saturday morning. And, now that I think back, Saturday, Sunday were the first and only 2 times that I can ever remember being at a racetrack at 6:30 in the morning. You know, aside from when I camp at a racetrack or
Right.
something like that, like, yeah, we had to roll the cars by 7:00. So she was pretty early to the track, no traffic, which was nice, but won the pole. We're leading the race. It's a 40-minute event. Had kind of our main rival passed us going into turn 3. Alex stayed with him, made a clean pass afterwards, and came up on a lap car. He had to kind of lift because he didn't know where the lap car was going. The car behind us didn't. Drove us into the wall, destroyed the car. So it got really messy because the driver was disqualified. They appealed the disqualification, which the appeal happened sometime this week, which meant that they got to carry on into race 2 as if nothing had happened.
Right.
The flip side is if they lose their appeal, any results from the second race, the DQ stands in the first race, and any results they have from the second race are deleted because they would have started out of position. So that was kind of messy. We ended up winning race 2, even though the car was pretty much destroyed. Our guys did a crazy good job getting it back together. We had to, negotiate a lot of parts from a lot of people, but they managed to get the car back. And when we got the car back, it was a slaughter. Made a little change to the setup based on knowing that the IndyCar guys had just come off the track. And the last 2 laps, I think Alex was 2 seconds a lap faster than the field. Like crazy.
Wow.
Which probably also means that, some of the other cars started having issues. In NASCAR, we were quick. I can't remember exactly where we qualified because now the results are all muddled in my head.
Right.
But I think we were into the green, white checker overtime. So technically 2 laps to go, and one of the wires connecting the alternator, it had a faulty connection. But it just gave up the ghost, and we just lost power, and it was race over.
That was it. Hey.
Yep.
Colin Livingston from Cantor with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show. And just as a quick aside to put a bow on that, you ran into and got the chance to mix it up a little bit with a good buddy of the station, Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff. He's a real racing fanatic, and in his home neck of the woods, so you got to cross paths with Stephen in person this weekend too.
Always enjoy talking to Stephen. It's kind of wild because he's a broadcaster. He's a real, genuine sports guy. But when we get together, it seems like he always likes to kind of take a half step back.
Right.
I'm not really sure, his knowledge is definitely on par with mine. I just get to do it a little bit more often in the motorsports world. But yeah, it's always great to see him, even though he was chirping me a bit the week before on the Gregor show. We actually, when we were spotting over in turn 5, we stood side by side, and it's funny to say, but as a senior guy that's now done it for a few years, you always try and help. There's a lot going on, and I could tell by some of the pre-race questions that he was anxious and maybe a bit nervous as to what to say and when to say it. So we always kind of, even though we're following our own stuff, we're still kind of aware of what NASCAR is saying. Sometimes NASCAR is talking at the same time as your driver, and it's
a lot going on.
You know what it's like, because sometimes you're having a conversation, but you're getting notes from someone else, and there's the text, and you've got to be able to multitask. Yeah. But no, they did a great job. He was spotting with Alex Gannett, and because we had our issue, that gave him a free position. Happy to help in any way we can.
Exactly, right on. So changing gears then over to the F1 calendar, which is back in action after the summer break, coming up this weekend in the Netherlands, the Dutch GP, Heineken Dutch GP. Of course, August 21 through 23, we'll get our qualifiers and in positioning, all that, getting into the race itself on the 23rd. 7 a.m. I believe that's Mountain Time start. So going into the second half of the season here, what are some of the storylines on the circuit that are really grabbing your attention? And is it really headlined by, Kimi Antonelli obviously leading the standings at this point and continues just to break records nearly every time he goes out, for the youngest to do this and the youngest to do that? Is the real eyes here about how many more records can he break here in the second half of the season? Or what are some other big storylines that you're keeping tabs on going into the second half?
Absolutely can't say a bad thing about Kimi's season. The big storylines now that the summer break is finally coming to an end. Mercedes has a lot of reliability issues. They've had a lot of engine, power units, hybrid, various failures, and not just within their own team, but they're also an engine supplier to like McLaren and Alpine and Williams. Now, Williams, they don't seem to be going fast enough to have the Mercedes issues, but they're getting into a position where they've exceeded their yearly allotment of components, and now they're going to start getting 5 and 10 grid position penalties. So whether or not they're going to be able to maintain what they're doing through the balance of the season. I mean, Antonelli basically has a 2-race buffer in points right now. Yeah. So he could take 2 weeks off, come back, and still basically have the lead almost no matter what happens. So he's pretty comfortable. Then again, Oscar Piastri was this comfortable last year, and Max made it pretty Max, and then obviously Lando made it pretty interesting to come back. Ferrari is very consistent this year. They seem to have guys who can kind of win any weekend now. Plus, they're releasing some updates, and it's not this race, but the Monza race. They'll start running their new engine, their upgraded engine, which reportedly will be good for about 0.2 of a second at Monza. McLaren finally seems to be working through some of their kinks. They're starting to rack up some wins and get up to the front, and you can never count out Mad Max, because despite having a car that's extraordinarily hard for him to drive, he still is kind of scratching and clawing his way into good finishes. Yeah.
Well, when you're that good, I guess, right? We know obviously how important the literal vehicle, the car, is in F1, but man, having a guy like that behind the wheel, regardless of what product you're on, has to be a pretty reassuring feeling for the team.
I think that's part of the problem, is the team has relied too much on Max squeezing 100% of what the car's got, to the point that they haven't really addressed the issues. And I can't remember, there was a CFL coach that once said, this is going back like 15-20 years, that winning masks all errors. The team was winning even though they weren't playing well at the time, and I think that's pretty similar to what's happening with Red Bull. They're not really winning, but they're doing a lot better than what they should just because of Max. And if they don't start listening to what their lead driver is asking for, the season is not going to go well for them.
Colin Livingston from Cantor, talking all things racing, motorsport, F1 with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G this week. So summer break, you talk so much about, the teams and taking that time to reassess and put in some work. What about like the drivers themselves? Is this a real, call it, R&R period for them? Are they still in there every day in the facilities, hand in hand with all the engineers and the teams, trying to get these improvements so everybody's on the same page, essentially, when the season does resume here this weekend?
The drivers, most of them, if you look at their socials, they did vacation. Right. George Russell got engaged. Lewis is a prolific traveler, but they're also posting, workout videos, right. And, they can't. I would definitely, if I've got a 4-week break, if I've got a 2-week break, I'm grabbing a cheeseburger between kart races, and but it's not my entire life to succeed in a vehicle. This is their entire profession, and they just can't have that luxury. Mostly, even in the off season, they can't just let themselves go, because then they spend the whole off season trying to get back to where they were. Where these guys, they're all wired. It doesn't matter if they win, they want to keep winning and they want to do better. And if they didn't, then they start cutting everything out until they can get back to winning. But there's really, really, really strict regulations that the factory, out of the 4-week shutdown, has to be shut down entirely at least 2 weeks. You can't really stop drivers from texting their engineers and, talking about the things that pop into their head, but it's pretty heavily regulated. And there's a winter shutdown too. Like once the season ends, they have to get little breaks like that. But I think everybody's ready to get back to it. It's going to be a big stretch. And, despite the racing not being exactly the way I like it, it should be exciting.
It's still exciting. So I'll finish with this then for you, Colin. On the second half, do you have a particular race that you're most looking forward to? Is it always one bookmarked on your calendar each year that you say, I love this track, this city, anything like that you really hone in on here in the second half?
I've been to Monza, and it is like, it's not necessarily the world's greatest racetrack, but it's got the history.
Right.
When we were there, we were able to walk up on the original oval with 37-degree banking. And, I had uninhibited access to the entire facility. So always getting to see that race on TV, knowing that we've raced there in other series is pretty cool. I love the sightlines at Baku in Azerbaijan, which is still coming up. Gorgeous track. There's some really tight kind of Mickey Mouse sections as they go around the castle, but it still offers for a street race. It's pretty good. And more than anything, I'm really curious to see what they do, towards the end of the season as they start getting back to the Middle East, if they're able to run the races in places like Abu Dhabi and Qatar, because, right now it's not looking good.
Yeah.
So, you plan on having 12 races to go. It could be as little as 9, and it could be 14. So the teams really don't know if they add like Malaysia, or they add Turkey, or they add Imola, which are all kind of being batted around right now.
Awesome. Well, Colin, listen, I've loved this, and I'm looking forward to learning lots more as you make your now weekly appearance here with Tommy when he's not on vacation. In the meantime, I'm happy to sit in and chat it up with you. So appreciate you coming in as always. Have yourself a great week. Are you off to anywhere this coming weekend?
This is actually an off weekend, but I do race the go-kart tomorrow night. So
awesome.
We got 3 more kart races, and then after this off weekend, we do 3 weekends in a row in NASCAR and Radical. So busy end of the season.
Very busy. Awesome. Take care. Good luck in the race tomorrow, and we'll chat next week.
Awesome job, man. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Colin Livingston from Cantork, our racing in-house expert. F1, motorsports, you name it, he is on it. When we come back, we'll switch over to talk some baseball with Jensen Lewis from By the Books on VSiN Live, former MLB pitcher, one of our favorite recurring guests here on The Morning Show. Brandon Douglas in for Tom Gazzola on The Tom Gazzola Show this week, brought to you by Bet365.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
Now's the time to shop the Bricks 0% event. Get what you need today with absolutely $0 down. Pay nothing with no interest until 2028. Or choose 36 equal monthly payments on qualifying purchases. Plus, save up to 25% on living room furniture, up to 20% on dining and bedroom furniture, and up to 40% on select mattresses. Hurry into the Brick today. These incredible offers are only on until August 19th. The Brick, saving you more.
Recently, our company softball team lost a big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
Hi, Edmonton. If the Subaru Outback is on your wish list, now's the time to act. With only limited inventory available, these award-winning SUVs won't be here for long. The Outback has earned an IIHS top safety pick or higher for 17 consecutive years, combining legendary Subaru capability, confidence in every season, and the versatility to take you almost anywhere. Reserve yours today before they're gone. Visit your local Subaru dealership today. Welcome to Uncommon.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Zola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick in studio as well. Just finished up a great chat with Colin Livingston. I'm super green and super naive to a certain extent about the whole racing world. So I'm really looking forward to Colin being a new staple of the morning show because Tom's a big F1 guy and hoping to learn a little bit more. I tried to get into the Drive to Survive stuff when it really blew up a few years ago, and I just couldn't quite do it. So I'm interested in giving another stab here now that we're having weekly chats with our buddy Colin Livingston. Let's bring in another one of our good friends on the show, Jensen Lewis, former MLB pitcher, host of By the Books on VSiN Live. Jensen, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a great summer. It's been a while since we've chatted. Appreciate you as always taking some time with us here up in Edmonton.
You got it. Great to see you again. And it has been a roller coaster ride to say the least for the Blue Jays this year. And just happy we're talking about meaningful baseball right now with what they're playing and what is just a surreal wild card and postseason race on the American League side right now.
It's absolutely insane how muddled that American League wildcard playoff picture is, Jensen. Let's start with the Blue Jays. And as a former pitcher yourself, I want to kind of broach this topic with you about the Blue Jays just coming off of, I think it was 17 games in 17 days. And then, more starters go down. Their bullpen absolutely taxed. And for those of us that don't actually experience the trials and tribulations of a professional athlete, where you say, how hard is it to go out there and throw, a dozen pitches or one inning? And why do they need all these days off and stuff? Take us inside that a little bit for a bullpen arm where, man, these guys are absolutely taxed right now. And this day off for the Jays, they've had it circled on the calendar for probably at least a week or more here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is one of those parts, too, where it is a cumulative effect here, Brandon, because we say it a lot where your starting pitching traditionally isn't so spread out or stretched out in April and May. And, as a reliever coming in to those first couple of months, you're probably going to hear the phone ring a little more often than not. And that's by design to protect those starting pitchers who are not, elevated pitch count wise, or you're in a lot of cold weather, depending on where your opening series or your opening month end up taking you on the road. Now, Jay's different because you can play indoors and everything climate controlled, but the point still remains is that you expect as a reliever to have a potentially higher workload early in the season, and maybe it balances out as you get towards the middle and then maybe even towards the end. Now, for what it's worth, you look at the last 30 games as a staff for the Blue Jays, they're top 5 in ERA overall at 3.42 since the All-Star break. And that really is predicated off of, this starting staff being as good as they've been. Of course, we know what Dylan Cease has done. You look at the starters ERA at 3.22 since the All-Star break. That's also top 5 in all of baseball. The relief ERA just a bit above league average here at 3.65 in that time span. And so you get these stretches, as you alluded to. It feels like you're playing 3 weeks straight, and you essentially were, that if a starter or two end up going down in a shorter outing, if you will, or an injury, and of course what the Jays have had to deal with, it's all hands on deck for the bullpen guys, and you're trained for that. And so for these guys to weather this storm a bit and weather the consecutive days in a row the way they have, while being able to put yourself back into playoff contention after what was a very disappointing start to the season, I think you take it, man. You'll get that second wind, knowing it's pretty much a 5-6 week sprint to the end of the regular season now. So you get that day to kind of catch your breath, maybe go to do some things with the family, take your mind off the game for a bit. It's always a good thing to have at this time of year.
So sticking with the Jays then, where do you actually nail their chances down here? Because the offense remains, incredibly underwhelming. They have their moments, and it looks like a few guys have started to turn a bit of a corner, but really they've leaned on this pitching all season long. And it's just been like, all right, when is this team that we saw last year going to come back around where they can get on base, they can manufacture runs, and then come up with some power when they seem to need it the most? But it just hasn't happened yet. Can you envision a world where the Jays get back into the playoffs without Vladimir Guerrero Jr. upon returning from this 7-day IL, actually getting back to some semblance of the player and hitter, more importantly, we've come to know in Toronto?
Yeah, it'll be incredibly difficult, Brandon, to say the least. But if you're looking for kind of a glass half full, if you can weather the rest of this quote unquote storm of really tough baseball, and beginning with 3 tonight at Tropicana Field and then 3 in the Bronx against the Yankees, you look at that schedule and on paper, it really does soften up as far as the opponents. Now, the Royals going nowhere. You get them a handful of times here to finish out the month of August. Seattle has struggled mightily with their offense all season long. So has Cleveland when the Blue Jays come to town to begin the month of September. And then going to Sacramento there, that's a 3-city road trip. Cleveland, Kansas City, Sacramento. Good hitting weather, obviously, and great dimensions to finish the road trip out west. Then you come home, and that's gonna be a very intriguing spot now where Baltimore and Detroit could be in maybe a handful of weeks' time. The finish to that schedule, knowing you get Baltimore a couple of times, once at home, once on the road, will be one of the spots that you circle. But as far as the offense goes, listen, only the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Angels since the All-Star break have scored fewer runs than the Toronto Blue Jays. And I think you need to put that into context of holy heck, that's the statistic. Yet you begin play today, just a half game out of a playoff spot. It is remarkable that even 4 games under 500 and how anemic the offense has been so far this year, you're right in the fight. And so the pitching does have to continue to be dominant in the rotation. You would like to see a little uptick from the back end of the bullpen in all names outside of Louis Varland. If you get that, you're essentially playing postseason games right now. Every run means so much offensively. Every run prevented so huge from a pitching side. So this is what you ask for, man. When you're to this point in the season, regardless of the record, give me a meaningful shot to get into October baseball, and that's what the Jays have right now.
Jensen Lewis from By the Books on VSiN Live, our guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. So, and we can zoom out a little bit from the Jays, but they're certainly included in this discussion about post-deadline baseball, Jensen. And some teams buy, some teams sell, and some teams like the Jays kind of do a little bit of both. What is that post-deadline feeling like inside a clubhouse, inside a locker room where you look around and say, all right, this is what we got? And in the case of the Jays, they've got a little bit of energy provided by some call-ups and Charles McAdoo and Brett Bateman, one of the players they acquired at the deadline. And then how long can you actually expect that kind of little pick-me-up to last where maybe the weight's off your shoulders if you were a player that was potentially on the market or on the block, if you land with a new team or you're one of these call-up players? How long can you ride that wave? And is it too much to expect to ride that into September and continue to carry a playoff push? You actually need, once again, same discussion, your best players to step back to the front of the table and take care of business.
You can ride it as long as everyone produces, man. And that's kind of the beauty of the young infusion too. When you look at a McAdoo, when you look at a Bateman, you got 2 24-year-olds that are looking to cut their teeth here at the big league level and show what they can do. For veteran guys, you always love seeing the young pups running around. They don't know any better. They're just playing the game. And now we put on the big league jersey. We do it with the third deck and all the stadiums. So you hope that infusion of energy and edge is something that does continue. I can tell you, and we'll watch him tonight when Jose Soriano takes the mound. When you get that kind of addition behind a Dylan Cease, knowing the attrition that has happened with this rotation, that is absolutely something that you come to the ballpark, you're like, yeah, we got a great chance to win. And that's what you want to have, knowing when you make those trades at the deadline, that is going to be the support you get, especially in this rotation. I would say if you're kind of zooming out, listen, Boston ran off the epic 38, 39 game stretch here. And still, since the All-Star break, they have the most wins in baseball at 21-10. Tampa is tied, I think, with 4 teams. Atlanta, the Cubs, the Padres with 19 apiece. And then you look at Toronto. Toronto actually has the 11th most wins at 16-14 since the All-Star break. And that's unique in the fact that when you think about all the teams we just mentioned, yes, Boston, the epic run. Tampa has been the class of the American League for most of this year. Then you have to come all the way down to Detroit to find that next American League team. And guess what? After that, it's Toronto. So it's kind of unique to see that, last year, the first half of the season was a bit average. And then out of the chute in the second half, that's where the Jays really took off. And we all know that that was a ticket to deep into October in the Fall Classic. Could that repeat itself this year? I don't think it will offensively, but stranger things have happened. And because you're so congested here, Brandon, in this race for a playoff spot, there's not a lot of separation for looking at American League playoff potentials and saying, oh, yeah, we got to run down Tampa. Or, when the Yankees finally get Judge and Bellinger back, that's the team to beat. Each of these potential playoff hopefuls have their strengths, but they certainly have their Achilles heels. And I think that's going to be the unique part about the tournament on the American League side. Whoever does get in, there's not a lot of daylight potentially from that 1 seed to the 6 seed. And that's what's going to make this wild card and divisional series when we get there in October so much fun.
Now, Jensen, the Chicago White Sox, they lose last night in a thriller to the Cubbies. I want to touch a little bit more on them in a moment here, but they lead the American League Central. We all expected them to be better than they've been the past couple seasons, which isn't saying much because they were so atrocious the past few years out, 100 lost teams. But this level of ascension, I've certainly found it surprising, and I find them a lot of fun to watch. You talk about the young pups that maybe don't know any better. That kind of seems to be the mantra that this team is running with here. And in a wide open American League, come playoff time, is this a team that you can trust at all to maybe win a round or so to continue to ride this youthful, energetic wave? Or do you think this is a bit of a learning experience here for the White Sox that they're going to be happy to get to the playoffs, and then when to have whatever happens there, it doesn't really matter in the end of it?
Well, let's look at the last 6 weeks of last season. You started to see signs that Will Venable had infused what you wanted at a ground floor level of really, playing the game the right way, having a lot of little details taken care of, offensive execution in key spots, being able to defend, and then throwing a boatload of strikes and staying ahead in the count. They really, and just by the numbers, on our show on VSiN by the books, you look at Chicago at the beginning of the year, they were upwards of 25, 30-1 to win the division. I mean, imagine looking at triple-digit World Series futures for the White Sox at the beginning of the season. Like, yeah, it's actually viable. We're going to talk about this in August, and they're going to be right in the fight. Here's the motivation if I'm the White Sox. You begin play today 3 ahead in the loss column of the Houston Astros for the 2 seed. That is goal number 1 in my eyes. The division takes care of itself if you get that 2 seed, and think about playing 1 fewer round in the postseason. That is going to be beneficial for a team that did make those additions at the deadline. Of course, Luis Castillo, coming over from the Mariners. Sean Burke has been excellent throughout the entirety of the season for this group. And now having to deal with a little bit of an issue with Davis Martin. I know he's trailed off after just an incredible start to his season. Remember, he was kind of a dark horse candidate in the American League Cy Young picture for a bit of that first half. Can they win a round? I think so. In a short series, it's probably matchup dependent. But right now, you're in a catbird seat of having to bypass that wild card round where essentially if we began the playoffs today, Brandon, it's the Houston Astros as the 3 seed hosting the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees as the top wild card would host the Red Sox. And remember, because the playoff seeding is locked in, the 4-5 of the Yankees-Red Sox series plays the 1 seed in Tampa. The White Sox get the winner of the Astros and Orioles. And I would say right now, if I'm a Southsider, I would absolutely take that matchup, regardless of who it is. That is certainly the path of least resistance in that hypothetical. But yes, the White Sox, a much better brand. They hit a boatload of home runs. Obviously, Munetaka Murakami has been incredibly important to their success, but I think we owe Miguel Vargas a debt of gratitude and give him his flowers. Without his year, there's no way that the White Sox are anywhere close to contending in the American League.
No doubt. As we chat with former MLB pitcher Jensen Lewis, you can hear him by the books on VSiN Live. So over in the National League, then, it's funny. You can say a really similar storyline about the Cubbies. Not the surprise or anything, because we expected them to be a contender in the National League, but they've had a run of success here that they're within striking distance of the Brewers, and the ability to climb out of that wild card spot to grab the top spot in the National League and get that bye in the first round. It is, and the way PCA is playing, we can kind of incorporate his MVP case into this discussion about the Cubbies as we focus on Chicago. Like, can the Cubbies do it, or the Brewers? I mean, they're not really slowing down, but Chicago just seems to be on a little bit of another level right now.
Yeah, and really, Chicago has made up a boatload of ground in this divisional race. It is effectively a race now, and understanding what Chicago does well, one of the best scoring offenses in all of baseball, the best on base offense as far as on base percentage team in the game. They're number one, and it is by a mile defensively. I mean, if I'm coming out of retirement, and Brandon, I absolutely want to pitch in front of this defense right now because I'd look like a potential all-star the way they pick it. You mentioned PCA. What a flair for the dramatic last night. Ends up, bookending it basically. Leads off with a homer in the first inning and then walks it off with that big home run to win it in the Windy City Series opener. I think what was incredible is looking at this team on paper. And they had all the success, but you looked at the rotation before the trade deadline. You thought, I guess they could win a series. You'd probably have to win a high-scoring series, but could you really see them as a threat when you got to the Milwaukees, the Dodgers, the Braves, even the Phillies? The way they were constructed with their rotation horses. I think Chicago, and a credit to Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins at the deadline, for addressing those needs. As you guys well know, north of the border, I thought Kevin Gausman will look great as a White Sox. I just got the wrong side of the city. He ends up on the north side, but I think that answered a major question for Chicago. If they were going to be a World Series contender, could you get front end of the rotation help to go along with what you had in Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga? They addressed that. Getting Clay Holmes, too, I think is a huge coup for them because now you have depth in the rotation. Now you can really figure – and an embarrassment of riches, as long as everyone's healthy, you can cherry pick how you want that rotation to set up, and it could be matchup dependent, or you just say, went and got Kevin Gausman for this game one. That's why we got him. We can figure out if we want Shota Imanaga or Matthew Boyd in as our number two. Clay Holmes has been so good. If we're in a different ballpark where we need the ball down, he's the perfect guy to go on the road. He's pitched in the biggest of cities and the biggest of moments, so the moment will not overwhelm him. I think they really addressed some concerns in the back end of their bullpen. Sepper John coming over from the Angels is absolutely filthy. I think he is such a great compliment to Jacob Webb. Trent Thornton has been amazing the last couple of weeks. So they're set up really well now, Brandon, and I think they are as viable a World Series contender as anyone, not only in the National League, but all of baseball.
Last one for you, Jensen, and we're still a month plus away from the conclusion of the regular season, and we talked about these muddled playoff pictures in the wildcard spots and jostling for position. So much to still be determined in playoff matchups, but as of right now today, are you still saying that the Dodgers are unparalleled, once they get all their pitching help back and everything, or do you think that this playing field has leveled a little bit when it comes to chances to head to the Fall Classic out of the NL and then actually win the World Series for a potential third straight year?
Yeah, I think people are still sleeping on Atlanta a little bit, and I can understand why. When you look at that rotation, it's Chris Sale, and then it's not really any names that jump off the page. Like when you look at a Dodger rotation, when you look at a Brewers rotation with the Cubs, the Phillies, I can understand why people would not necessarily entertain the Braves' viability of being able to go deep in the postseason. But to your Dodgers question, I think this is the most vulnerable they've looked. Now, we said this last year too, and all I did was get healthy in, September, get all the horses back in the rotation, and effectively just run them out there through October and use them through the World Series to get that back-to-back World Series championship crown. This is a much tougher field, and I don't think it matters who comes out of the wild card round. I think they're in for a fight, and I think they have as tough a road back to the World Series. And even once you get to the World Series, we're going to get a viable American League team. I don't think this is going to be a very lopsided World Series matchup, regardless of who's in it. So, yeah, I think the Dodgers, this is the most vulnerable they've been, and we are prisoner of the moment. We say that now with 6 weeks left, basically. If they do get healthy, still think they're the team to beat the National League.
Excellent stuff, as always, Jensen. Love catching up with you. We will certainly try and do so again before the playoffs get going in October. Enjoy these final 6 weeks of the regular season. I look forward to chatting again soon. Take care.
Anytime, Brandon. Thanks, and we'll talk soon.
You betcha. Jensen Lewis, from By the Books on VSiN Live. You can catch his work over there. They cover all the sports, but of course, Jensen is a former MLB pitcher. Awesome insight on the major leagues of baseball. When we come back, we will go in or out with Donovan and Josh. 10 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Cam Tate with Cam and Eggs, and then head down to Jacksonville for some NFL football chatter at 10:20 with Mike DeRocco with ESPN covering the Jaguars and their expectations inside the AFC South. All that, lots more in between still to come here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy G this week. Watch the show. It's streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch, and brought to you by Bet365.
Here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Mr. Rooter cries like a little tiny baby child.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you've got a package from Mrs. Rooter.
Aw, the card says, "Thank you for our unbreakable bond. You're the Pro Press fitting to my copper pipe."
Ooh, what's in the package, Mr. Rooter?
Let's see. It's a Plumbus 2000 spud wrench. She knew I'd never buy one for myself.
Just like tears. It's flowing or it's free with Mr. Rooter.
I love that woman.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact because our team is built on second chances and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Greger for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
Caesars is Alberta's anytime, anywhere sportsbook. Stay in the action with your favorite teams and players. Whether you're camping, kayaking, or catching a show this summer, bet wherever you are, whenever you want. Plus, Caesars Sportsbook offers fast payouts and flex parlays, a new way to keep your bet alive even if a pick misses. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today.
Must be 18 or older and physically present in Alberta to gamble. Must be 21 or older to use Caesars Sportsbook. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please play responsibly.
Ready to upgrade your ride this spring? Come on down to the Golf Cart People. They're a family-owned and operated business that's been serving the community since '97. Whether you're looking for a brand new or quality pre-owned cart, a rental for a special event, they do that too. The Golf Cart People have a huge selection of parts and accessories, and their expert service team is here to keep you rolling. The Golf Cart People, your one-stop shop for everything golf cart. Visit golfcartpeople.com.
Alberta, this one's for you. Around here, trust takes a few winters. It's why players have known Jackpot City since 1998. Home to hundreds of exciting casino games, live dealer action, and new adventures waiting to be discovered. Jackpot City, nothing beats the original. Please play responsibly, 18 years or older, Alberta only.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca.
Brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy this morning, this week. He's down in Calgary at the Gretzky Hockey School. imparting his wisdom on the youth of today. Donovan Paulson alongside on the ones and twos, and Josh Fenwick has just stepped out for a reason unbeknownst to me or probably anybody else. He knows we're doing a show, right?
I think so.
I did tell him to just go. We saw Mackenzie walk by. She's of course filling in on the Gregor show this week with Gregor also on holidays. She's here early, I assume, for some CFCW thing. I want to get her in on the end of In or Out today because it's a real interesting fifth question, Donovan. And we'll get right to In or Out, brought to you by Oilers Nation Golf Tournament. There are 5 foursomes left. 5 foursomes left. Make a team and register to play on Friday, August 28th at Millwoods. Loads of prizes, competitions, and fun in support of Gregor's grads. Sign up at nationexperiences.ca.
Okay, you know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in or you out?
In or out of what?
No time for questions, just action. In or out?
Well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Are you in or are you out?
On Sports 1440.
I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. We would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
Cousin Nails just texted in. He said, Fenny's pooping. Really quickly before you get going, Donovan, just on the Oilers Nation Golf Tournament, which is of course sponsoring In or Out here for the next couple of weeks. Think about it. If you get one of those foursomes and you run into that crew of, you can figure out. Liam wasn't willing to really he wasn't no loose lips. They sink ships. He wasn't willing to sewer any of the other boys from DFO Edmonton about who was the wildest at his wedding celebration. But if you get your spot in the Oilers Nation Golf Tournament in support of Gregor's grads, I bet you can figure it out. Donovan, what do you have for us on this creamy Tuesday morning?
Up first, the two teams.
He just played a song by Cream.
That's why. Yeah. Up first, the 2 MLB teams with a chance to upset the Dodgers. For me, there's only 2. The Cubs and the Braves.
So my interpretation of this is you do not necessarily agree with Jensen Lewis's take that it is not like you think it's a cakewalk for whoever comes out of the National League over the American League pennant winner.
Yeah, I do. I don't. The Rays are the Brewers to me. They're basically the same team. They're just the voodoo magic team.
Right.
Where everything goes right in the regular season and there's a reason they get bounced early in the playoffs, and it's because they don't have the horses. And to me, to beat the Dodgers, you need the horses. The only team maybe with a chance in the American League to me is the Yankees, but as a known Yankees hater,
you can't put your weight behind that.
I can't. No. So
I was going to say, I do think the Yankees, if they get healthy, they could do it. We talked about yesterday. I don't love the brand of baseball the Yankees play. I don't, but you can't deny it that when you've got Cole, when you've got Schlittler, when you got Max Fried, like your rotation's good enough. Bednar has been excellent in the closing role for them this season. That was a great ad for them in the bullpen. And then you can win with power in the playoffs. Out of the playoffs doesn't matter. So if you get Judge back, if you get Stanton back, and they've got a few demons to exercise in terms of their playoff performances for this Yankees club, then all the power to them. Bellinger, like they're a solid roster. There's no doubt about it. So I'm kind of with you on the Brewers and the Rays. Man, I was disappointed with the Brewers deadline. I wanted them to take a much bigger swing at someone than what they did. And as a result, I'm also going to be out on them having an actual chance to beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. So I guess I'm in on this because I do think the Braves and the Cubs are the 2 next best teams in all of baseball, not just the National League. So I'm probably in on this. Do I actually think they can? As of right now, no.
I don't either. However, I think they're the 2 best teams with a chance.
I agree.
I think the Braves, if anyone's going to do it, it's the Braves. The Braves have the offensive thump, and they do have that key kind of next best option at starting pitching. Like Chris Sale is a stud. As long as Chris Sale stays healthy, there's always a chance. But what are the odds that I'd say the Braves beat the Dodgers? Maybe 10%. That's how highly I still think of the Dodgers. As much as they can be floundering around right now and, there's this injury and that injury. I think we all know at this point, come playoffs, they're just resting these guys. They're letting them get healthy and things will be right back to the usually scheduled program for the Dodgers. Off to number 2, Dylan Cease will be the American League Cy Young winner.
I want this to be true. I want to be in on this. And he will certainly be a finalist. There's no doubt. But I'm probably out. I think it will be Cam Schlittler.
Really?
Yeah. Cease is a workhorse, right? We know that. His career has told us that is, entirety of it. Reliable, all those things. Is there any concern about how heavily they've leaned on him this year, that down the stretch of the season, and if the Jays do tail out of it or continue, is there any concern or worry about him not finishing the season as strongly as, say, Schlittler in the Yankee spot of, jockeying for position? They're a surefire playoff team. And outside of that, I think they're very comparable, obviously. Schlittler has the better ERA. He got a few more starts in under his belt as well. Less Ks, but Cease is the leader in the American League in that category. And so I don't know. I think it's splitting hairs. I think either is deserving, but I think Schlittler will probably win it.
Dylan Cease has 12 more Ks and 2 less starts, which to me is going to be the difference. When you have, if he can just lower his ERA to like a 2.3, which is really not Schlittler right now, as it stands, has a 2.19 ERA. He's got 189 strikeouts in 26 starts, which is fantastic. Those are fantastic numbers. But I think with Dylan Cease, you look at a guy who has over 200 strikeouts. He's the only guy to be over 200 strikeouts in the American League. He's got 23 starts, man. That many strikeouts in only 23 starts is insane to me. So to 2.42, the ERAs are very comparable. I think Dylan Cease needs to get the respect this season. For sure, he's going to finish second at the worst. But that many strikeouts in only 23 starts is insanity. So for me, that's going to push him.
He's been awesome. There's no doubt about
it.
And I want him to win it. He deserves it every bit. Is there a Yankee-New York bias? If the Yankees make the playoffs and the Blue Jays don't, does that come into voters' consideration at all? I don't know the answer to those questions. Should it? Maybe. Like, a pitcher can only do so much. He can't bat. So why do you blame him for the team not making the playoffs? He's done everything in find the actual number for me. What percentage of his starts has he given his team a chance to win by exiting the game with less than 2 runs against? It's a lot of them. He's been unreal this season. He's been unreal. But maybe it's the pessimist in me. Someone will tell me the Yankees will come in and do what they do and get the award.
By the way, for Dylan Cease's career, this is, so far, this is his second best year of his career, and he is on track to finish second in Cy Young voting for the second time.
It's a really good pitcher. Has been for a long time.
Dylan Cease, man, I myself included, I kind of looked at that deal and went, that might be a little too much for a guy who's this inconsistent.
White Sox legend.
He has been so good. Maybe I should have trusted the Jays pitching coaches a little bit more than I did. But I did say, if this goes well, he's going to be right-handed Robbie Ray, and that's exactly what it's turned out to be for the Jays. Off to number 3, we have Keenan Allen, of course, signing with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm saying he's going to end the year as their leading receiver.
You're talking in terms of
yardages?
In terms of
yards.
I'm out. It's going to be Tyler Warren. And I think it's going to be with a bullet.
It's a good shout, of course.
This is a great get by the Colts because this is clearly addresses a need they had when you look at their receiver room. Alec Pierce, great deep threat. Is he as reliable in short yardage over the middle stuff? Maybe not so much.
He's also coming in hurt.
That's exactly what Keenan Allen provides you. Third and Keenan, right? How many times have we heard Connor Halley say that? So I think it's a no-brainer, and it's a great ad. Rounds out their offense pretty nicely. Still doesn't necessarily fix their quarterback situation. Is Daniel Jones 100%? Can he duplicate the first half of last season? Those are all questions, but it's going to be Tyler Warren every second pass this year. And then the rest of them are spread out to everyone else. He's that good. And Tyler Warren will lead this team in both receptions and yardage this year. And probably touchdown. I could see Pierce leading them in touchdowns.
I will say to you, when I did make this question, Tyler Warren was not on my mind. I was mainly considering the wide receivers, and maybe I should have
was your first
considered
mistake.
it that I should have worded it that way. However, Tyler Warren will be the dog in this offense. I was just the point of this for me was Alec Pierce comes in hurt, and does anybody really why do we suddenly trust Josh Downs?
Don't forget Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, Dolphins legend.
Jags legend. Titans legend?
Yeah, Titans legend. That's where he broke out and basically caught a touchdown every second reception.
Good for him. Good for him. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a no-brainer. And if you want to say pure wide receiver thing, I'm probably still out because I get Pierce is coming in hurt, but he'll have enough splash plays to trump Allen's short yardage stuff. So
that injury just scares me off of Alec Pierce entirely this year. I know we got the big deal, but it scares me. Number 4, the NHL's biggest risers from last season will be the Caps.
In points in the standings?
Yes.
Riser? Yes. Yeah, I'm very high on the Capitals. They had 95 points last year. Most seasons, that is good enough for a playoff spot. So how, in total points increased, I'm probably out on that.
I think the bad teams stay bad.
I think the Blackhawks can get a lot better. And they just have more room to grow. 72 points. The Capitals already had a pretty good point total last year. If they improve by 10 points, they're in the playoffs for sure, which I can see them doing. If they improve by 5 points, they're probably in the playoffs, which I can see them doing. Blackhawks, 72 points. Can they improve by 15, 20 points and still miss the playoffs? Yeah. It's possible because that's a really tough division. So I'll be out and I'll take the Blackhawks.
And it's a pretty good shout there. I just say, for me with that Blackhawks team, their wing depth is appalling.
It's not great.
But
you've got the top end stuff. I think the ad of Byram will be an interesting one. Can he provide enough leniency to the rest of the young D-core to help them grow and get better? Because they've got a lot of talent back there in Rinzel, Levshinov, and Byram. There's a lot of pressure on him to be a number one. They've got their goalie in Spencer Knight, and they've got the guys up front in Kancerov's coming over. We know Bedard. Frundell really impressed at the end of last season. So I don't think the Blackhawks are a playoff team yet, but I think they will be drastically improved this year. Drastically.
We'll see if she goes. I just think that Caps team's going to win the Metro.
I do too.
And I think they're going to win it by a larger margin than people think they will. That is my team going into next year that I'm stamping.
I think I already made that prediction at some point this summer, Donovan, that they'll win the Metro division, but still lose to the Hurricanes at some point in the playoffs.
I am very possible. I'm stamping that team as my team that I have just attached myself to this year. And I think people are still sleeping on them for some reason. Off to number 5, and this is the one where we're getting the I think we need to get the female approach.
It's
to
the
this
return of the Mac to the morning show. That's what you should have. That's what you should have played. That's what you should have played instead of Cream. You pervert.
Come on, Donovan.
Number 5. Today is apparently National Couples Day.
Well, isn't or isn't it? Apparently, what are you apparently-ing me?
Well, I look at this and go,
is this on National Days of the Year website?
It is.
Then it's not apparently.
Okay.
It is National Couples Day.
I just look at this and go, really? This is the thing? I know of all the things we've said on Interact.
That's where you draw the line?
National
Couples Day. Donovan, we've had National Fudge Brownies with nuts. National Fudge Brownies without nuts.
This is true. However, National Couples Day, to me, there's nothing cringier than social media posts about partners on days like this.
Donovan, you can't set yourself up for stuff like this. And in turn, set me up for it too.
I absolutely can, and I will.
Donovan,
so great Kyle Dubas once said, I can and I will. And for this case, I am stamping this. This is so cringy. When people, the best boyfriend, the best girlfriend in the world, happy blah, blah, blah day. It's so cringy. Every time I see it, it makes me want to just gouge my eyes out.
Mac, I want to hear from you in just a second. Before that, Donovan, this is the influx of messages in some way, shape, or form that are about to flood our text line. 1-833-414-1440. This is me typing it out.
I know what's coming in.
Donovan,
but this is
how
my
would you know
opinion.
anything about that when you don't have a girlfriend? That's a full stop. That's everything that anybody needs to say here to tell you that you're wrong about this. You can say it's cringy, but how do you know it's cringy when you don't have a girlfriend?
I know
Have you,
it's
have you
cringy
ever?
because I have self-respect.
Have you? And I'm sure you've had a girlfriend. Here's Casanova Donovan Paulson. That's his nickname around these parts. Have you had a girlfriend that has done this about you or asked you to do it about them?
No, because I won't do that because I have enough self-respect to not do that.
Okay. I want to read the exact wording of the question here, and I think I accidentally deleted it when I was fake typing on my keyboard. Read me the exact end of the last sentence again.
The end of the sentence again.
So after nothing cringier.
There's nothing cringier than social media posts about partners.
False.
On days like this.
No, there's so much more cringier crap out there. Like, there's an entire subsection on TikTok and Instagram Reels about cringy things millennials have posted on social media, where it's like yuckity yuck type stuff. It's brutal. So, Mac, you're a woman. You have a boyfriend and Josh, you have a girlfriend too of a shorter time period. So, as the coupled up partners in this room, please weigh in here and help me tell Donovan why he's wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Donovan, you sound like the grumpy old man that's like, get off of my grass. That's so what you sound like right now.
Old man yells at cloud.
And like, listen,
I'm gonna make a good old man.
I do not post those things anymore because I'm 27 years old and dang, I'm old.
Sorry.
And also I'm in a very long-term relationship as well. It's like 4 or 5 years, something like that.
See, she doesn't even know. Yeah. She doesn't even care.
So, like, we don't do those things anymore. But at the beginning of a relationship, like the first year,
the honeymoon-ish phase.
Like that honeymoon phase, you're just like obsessed with each other.
Right.
So, like that first year to 2 years, I have no issue with it.
So true.
But like after that, I'm kind of like, all right, you guys have been together long enough. Like we know we get it.
So, Donovan, do you think it's cringy when I have tons of friends who have been married already 10 years plus now, and they'll post like a picture of them and their spouse from their wedding day, maybe a previous anniversary, and say, "Happy anniversary to my loving wife of 10 years." What the hell's the matter with that?
When it's an anniversary like 10 years, and it's your marriage, then whatever.
But what about anniversary year 8? You're just like, no, I'm out.
Yeah,
it
doesn't
8
count.
years isn't a big deal.
When I see people go,
it's an anniversary.
Happy 6 months, it's like just go away.
Okay,
you're ridiculous. It's a joke. There are milestones to this crap, and when you hit a legit milestone, I'll give you your props. I'll give you your flowers.
It's a big deal, Donovan.
It is not a big deal.
Donovan,
it's in the day and age.
Donovan, when's the last time you dated someone for 6 months?
Donovan, when you hit one of these thresholds, I will grant you permission to have an opinion on it. Until then, you and I have to stand down. I'm sorry.
Anyone can have an opinion about anything, and this is the one I'm probably one of the most firm things on. Is if I see a happy 6 months. Just you're a joke. It's get out of here.
I love how hardline Donovan takes some of these things. It's absolutely hilarious.
Donovan, you should relish in a day like this.
Congrats, you made it 6 months.
Steve texted in 1-833-414-1440. Would love to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. Our target demographic of listeners is, pretty niched in. On men in particular. There's plenty of women listeners too. Would love to hear from them. But Steve says one day he will lose his virginity. That's a sick burn. And then he followed up, God help the woman that takes his virginity. God help.
All right. One last thing before I have to go, because I have to go down to West Edmonton Coin and Stamp.
Shout
if you're in the mall,
Is someone winning an ounce
say
of
hi.
gold?
Not yet. Saturday.
Okay. Cool.
But come say hi.
Come say hi.
Donovan, I'm sorry. It's giving bitter and alone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I have to agree.
Love you as a friend, but
Mac,
that's just what it's giving.
Mac, thank you for popping by and providing us some alternative perspective.
This is just so I look at these things and go, congratulations, nobody cares.
Donovan, you should relish in a day like this.
What does it matter then, Donovan?
When people post their couples or girlfriends, then you know which girls that you're following on Instagram are single or newly single. And you know, where you can move in.
That might be the best point you have ever made on these airwaves, with all due respect. We got to get to break. Keep the text coming in, 1-833-401-1440. In or out brought to you by Oilers Nation Golf Tournament. Oilers Nation Experiences.ca. Go check out. They've got a few foursomes left available. Update. Sports 1440 update specifically. Brought to you by Sean Cunningham and Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. Here's Loverboy Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Jays back in action tonight against the Rays. First pitch flying at 4:40. Jose Soriano going for Toronto. Nick Martinez for Tampa Bay. The Yankees, they are in Baltimore. The Phillies hosting the Marlins. The Pirates clash with the Tigers. The Guardians looking to get themselves back on track against the Giants. D-backs are in action against Baltimore Boston going just after 5:10. And Najee Harris, some breaking news. He is signing a one-year deal with the New York Giants. Coming up, it is hour 4 of Douglas in the Mornings. I'm Donovan Paulson. That is your Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Got a car you're ready to part with? Find out what it's worth. Fast, easy, and totally free at Go Auto. We're talking top dollar trade-ins, whether it's a little worn or still rocking that new car smell. Just a few clicks, and boom, you've got your value. Text value to 780-777-7777 to start. That's value to 780 all sevens. Why guess what it's worth? Let Go Auto show you the money.
The Chicken Parmy Burger, McExtreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them, you've screenshotted them, you've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Are you a skilled laborer? All-Star Construction wants to talk to you. A heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience, All-Star Construction wants to talk to you, too. With work in and around Edmonton for local land developers, All-Star Construction offers year-round employment. Whether it's power, gas, or telecom, developers rely on All-Star Construction to get the job done. So if you're a skilled laborer or a heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience searching for work, search All-Star Construction on Indeed.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
For all your welding supplies, think AWS Welding. Located in Nisku, their readily stocked storefront carries a wide variety of welding glasses, cylinder rentals, plus welding rod, wire, and consumables. Same-day delivery is always available. And if they don't have it, AWS Welding will find it for you fast. Visit their online store today at awswelding.ca or give them a call or text at 780-979-0470. AWS Welding. They make it happen.
Alan Olson Auctions invites you to bid on the 2026 Rimby pre-harvest consignment sale open for one final day today at AlanOlsonAuction.com. Don't miss this massive auction sale featuring an impressive lineup of machinery, including tractors, combines, haying and harvest equipment, tons of new and unused skid steer attachments, trucks and trailers, construction equipment, sea cans, tires, and so much more. Call Alan Olson Auctions at 403-843-2747 or visit alanolsonauction.com and bid now.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus all. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show. All gas, no brakes. Edmonton's sports leader. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
(10:14) in Edmonton. Typical. Running a little long in the 10 o'clock hour, but that's okay when the conversation is as fun as we were having at the end of In or Out. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show here on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom. We got certified lover boy Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, and young Connor the intern also joining us in studio now as well. The show brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Now, as expected, a huge flurry of messages came in, 1-833-401-1440, about Donovan's final in and out topic, which reads that no, there's nothing cringier than social media posts about your significant other on days like National Couples Day. And one person did agree with you, Donovan. I will give you credit. One person agreed with you is Tater Tot. He said, I'm with Donovan only because I'm not a big showy person on Instagram. I've been with my wife for 5 years. I think people who post excessively on social media are just looking for attention. I usually post me and my wife once a year, 2 years. You got to give some social media love to your partner, but too much is just looking for attention, in my opinion.
Exactly.
He follows that up immediately with saying, but yeah, that guy sounds lonely and jealous, LOL.
Not lonely or jealous in any manner.
You're not lonely, Donovan?
No.
Must be nice. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Cousin Nail says, every day is a milestone. If you're above the grass, celebrate it with your partner. And then says, Donnie, don't be so pessimistic. MTR says, why do you follow people on social media and not expect them to post about their personal lives, relationship, kids, etc.? What kind of take is that, Donovan? 3P Forsberg, there's hot takes, there's cold takes, and then there's Donovan's takes. Where do they lie? Anywhere on the spectrum. That's what's great about a spectrum, Donovan.
That's the point, in or out, baby.
That's the great thing about a spectrum. You can be anywhere on it in many regards, on any spectrum.
It's the point, in or out, baby. You got takes. They're all over the place.
This one,
Fire them away.
This last one before we get to a Cam Tate and today's edition of Cam and Eggs from Carla. Thank you, Carla, for answering the call. As an older woman listener, celebrate love at any age. Donovan, you're too young to be cynical.
I did say, you want to give your 10 years anniversary, your 5-year anniversary of being married, go for it. That is congratulations. Like, there are milestones, and then there's just your joke, ridiculous crap.
Okay. Today's edition of Cam and Eggs, ready to sizzle in the pan. Let her buck, Donnie.
Team, surround them with good thoughts, nice words, maybe a gift. But wait, hang on. What do you even get the guy? A fruit basket? Welcome back. Here's a pineapple. I know you missed us. A card that says, sorry about whatever happened. We didn't ask. A gift card to the arena where he works so he can buy himself a hot dog with his own money? Do we get him a plant? Nobody wants a plant. A plant is what you give someone when you don't like them enough to think about it. So I'm punting this whole thing to you because I've got nothing. I'm out here suggesting foliage. Text 833-401-1440. What do you get somebody coming back to a team? And don't say a hug. A hug is the participation trophy of gestures. I want creative. I want unhinged. I want somebody to text me a live goat and mean it. Best answer, read on air tomorrow. Worst answer, also read on air tomorrow. Name attached, no mercy, because misery loves company, and frankly, so do I. Let's go, folks. Make it weird. But I digress. Very much so. Because when the Raptors and the Clippers agreed to send Kawhi Leonard back to Toronto, back to the city he gave a championship to in 2019, the first one this country had ever seen, well, I sat with that for a minute. And Monday, ESPN had a story on it. The NBA telling them there's no evidence Steve Ballmer funneled any money to Leonard through those sponsor deals. So whatever cloud was hanging over this, the league itself is saying it's not true, which means we can just take this one for what it is. A guy who gave this city one perfect summer, coming home to a place that never stopped saying thank you. Welcome back, Kawhi. Burgers for everyone. So text me, 833-401-1440. Do you get Leonard a gift for coming back? A pineapple, maybe? Or has the investigation already taken the magic out of the return? Maybe that's the real question. Cam and Eggs, Sports 1440.
Cam Tate with his own little call to action today. What do you get someone that's coming back to a team? He says the hug is the participation trophy of gifts. All right, well then plant one on him. Big smooch, little kiss. If I was here on Monday when Tom came back, that's what I'd give him. Donovan, you're going to have to do it for me in my stead.
Yeah, coming right up on Monday.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
My text line just suddenly stopped working for a reason I can't really understand. There was a message, though. Alfred agreed with you. Oh, good news. I've figured it out. I've done it. Alfred agrees with you, Donovan. There you go. Another person in your corner. Donovan's right. Social virtuing is pathetic. And James, a little bit of a thing in your corner, too. To be fair, Donovan, most people responding to a radio show are extroverts. Everyone's different. So that's not too bad. And we'll end on this because we have Mike DiRocco from ESPN covering the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up next. This one from Walt. Just tuned in. Have you hosted more Tom Gazzola shows than Tom himself? No, not quite.
Close.
It is close. Since Kevin Karius retired, this will be my third week in the big chair. But keep in mind, one of those weeks was not the Tom Gazzola show. It was the critically acclaimed, commercially panned Douglas in the Mornings. As described yesterday, the James Dean of morning shows. Shooting star, burnt bright, not for very long. We'll talk some NFL football when we come back. We'll continue to field your text messages, 1-833-401-1440, both on Cam Tate's call to action about what to get somebody returning to the team. Whatever team you want to, picture that as is up to your imagination, as well as thoughts on Donovan's very unpopular take about posting about your significant other on social media.
It's catching fire.
It is
catching fire.
In all the wrong kind of ways. The type of fire that makes you burn in a way you didn't really want to burn. Mike DiRocco from ESPN will be our guest when we return. It's the Tom Gazzola Show. Watch the show. It's streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, and it's brought to you by Bet365.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, denim man. Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
Want sports talk on the go?
You can listen to 1440 on the AM dial or stream us on your mobile device through apps like Radio Player, iHeart, and Stingray Music.
Edmonton sports fans,
Turn to Sports 1440.
1440.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Yeah, it's me again. And if you're sidelined with a sports injury, you already know nothing's more frustrating than being told to just rest. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we get athletes moving sooner with our zero gravity treadmills. You can run, train, and rebuild strength with up to 80% less body weight, so your injury heals while your confidence comes roaring back. When your sports injury's yelling, whisper back. LeadingEdgePhysio.com, because life shouldn't hurt.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus all. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show here on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G this week. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, and young Connor, the intern, all in studio as well. Cam Tate doing his part remotely this morning, dropping me tidbits and nuggets of information throughout the course of the show. Get in on the conversation with us, 1-833-4-1440, and offer your thoughts on Cam's call to action. What do you get somebody coming back to the team? He says best answer is going to get read on air tomorrow, as is the worst answer that he put out to the masses. Let's head down to Florida and talk some NFL football, specifically the Jacksonville Jaguars, with Mike DeRocco from ESPN covering the team. Mike, good morning, good afternoon. In your case, out east, appreciate your time as always for hopping on the program today. Thanks very much.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. Happy to do it.
So Mike, the Jags are one of these teams coming into this season that I think some circle as a potential regression candidate, right? When you look at the likes of the Patriots, the Bears, and Jacksonville, maybe even Denver in certain ways, all the close games they win last year. But this is a well put together roster, and second year under head coach Liam Cohen. What sort of progress have you seen since Cohen took over the job to now here we are going to the start of season number 2 in real changes organizationally about how the Jags are run from a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, well, the biggest change is what he did with Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
And we all know that it's a quarterback league. That's what has to happen. You have to have one to win and win big. And, he tweaked his mechanics with his footwork. He brought in a brand new offense, and it took Trevor Lawrence a while to kind of get rolling in it. And it was one conversation that he had with Trevor after a loss in Houston where he told Trevor, hey, just let it rip. Quit worrying about throwing interceptions. Just throw the football. If it turns over, we'll deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like that flipped a switch. And he was an MVP candidate second half of last season. I think he finished 5th. Trevor Lawrence was. So to me, that's the biggest thing, because Doug Peterson had tried to unlock Trevor Lawrence, and he got half a season out of him, and it just was not able to continue. They feel here that this offense, perfect fit for Trevor Lawrence, and the ability to play freely, which he really, I guess, hadn't been dealing with before, is really the biggest change mentally for the entire organization, to be honest with you. And, obviously Liam Cohen is really, really smart, X's and O's guy, knows how to game plan, knows how to attack weaknesses. And that's been, something that we haven't seen here in a while either. I mean, Doug Peterson was running the same offense he ran when he won the Super Bowl in Philadelphia back after the 2017 season, which is great if you have some of the guys that were on that Philadelphia Eagles season or team that year. But this is, he's a Sean McVay disciple. And if you just, watch this team, you'll see a lot of the same stuff that you'll see in the Rams.
Now, with that being said, and to pony off of it, do you think, and maybe this is based off conversations you've had with Liam Cohen or even maybe Trevor Lawrence himself, is there another level now in year number 2 of this Cohen system that Trevor Lawrence can ascend to, that you go from a second half MVP candidate finishing 5th or so in voting to maybe one of the front runners for those awards, where he can kind of reestablish himself as one of the premier QBs in the entirety of the NFL, that he was really tabbed to have coming out of Clemson all those years ago as really a can't miss QB prospect?
Yeah, the big key is doing it for a full season, because we've not seen that out of Trevor Lawrence. Obviously last year, struggling early in the season. And then back in 2022, when Lawrence kind of took off and the team took off in the second half of the season, he was struggling again in the early half of the season there. So it's got to be from the opening week to the week 18 that you see Trevor Lawrence play at a consistently high level. That's the next level that he has to go to, because it's not enough to do it for 7 games, 10 games, 9. I mean, it's got to be 17 games. And if he can play at that level, and offensive line injuries aside, all the pieces are in place here for him to be able to do that, then yeah, this is a Super Bowl contender without question in my mind.
Mike Duraco from ESPN covering the Jags in Jacksonville, our guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. So the pass catchers for this group, Jacoby Myers made a real positive impact when he came over last season from Las Vegas. And then the big, I don't know if it's an elephant in the room, but certainly interesting situation around this receiver room is Brian Thomas Jr., who had just a spectacular rookie season and then a bit of a step back last year. And I know we're only a couple weeks into training camp, but are there any signs or indications from what you've seen so far that leans us towards believing Brian Thomas Jr. can get back to that rookie form and form a really, formidable 1-2 punch in the receiver room with him and Myers?
Yeah, he's had a great camp. He came back in the spring, and he was probably the best athlete, had the best camp or best spring of anybody on the entire roster. He looked phenomenal. And the question was, well, how will that look when the pads go on? Well, he's picked up right where he left off in the spring. And the thing that's so interesting to me is, if you watch Brian Thomas in the first year or two, he double caught a lot of balls. The balls was not secure in his hand. None of that this year. I mean, he has been really strong with his hands. Last year he dealt with a wrist, an ankle, a shoulder injury, dealing with a little bit of shying away from some contact because of that. We've seen none of that this year. I mean, they changed the way they used him towards the end of last season. It's like, hey, let's not ask this guy to go over the middle. Let's use him hashes out. Let's use him vertically. And he's looked fantastic in that role again in the spring and now. There's so many weapons in the pass game with Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington and Brian Thomas Jr. That I don't know that he'll be able to duplicate that rookie year, because by the end of the season, they were just force feeding the ball to Brian Thomas because that was pretty much all they had.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be able to duplicate those numbers, but he will put up big time numbers again this year. I mean, I would be stunned if he's not close to or over 1,000 yards. And, up in that 7-8 touchdown range.
And you mentioned Parker Washington as a good complementary piece to this group, certainly. But Travis Hunter is still in the fold here. The ability to play both ways coming out of Colorado was a hugely tantalizing option at the draft, and a big part of obviously why Jacksonville made the moves necessary to go and get him. What's the plan for him this season in terms of deployment from what you've been told or led to believe? And kind of as a add-on to that, if the coaching staff could go back and redo year one and how they deployed him on both sides of the ball, do you think they would to maybe focus him in a little bit more rather than try and do both?
Well, he's primarily going to be the corner. He's cornerback number one on this team. So he's going to play, I don't know what percentage of the defensive snaps, but it will be the majority of them, close to maybe, 75% or more of the defensive snaps at least. But they're going to work him in on offense. There is no doubt about that. He's played some offensive snaps here during camp in 11 on 11. He's made some really nice catches. Had a couple of, end around jet sweeps that he's run. He is going to be involved in this offense. The other day, Liam Cohen called him, receiver 3A, 3B, which essentially puts him on, he'll be the third receiver essentially in some packages for sure. So I have no doubt that he's going to play a significant role on offense this year. Does that mean 10 snaps a game, 15? I don't know, and I don't think they know yet. But I know he's going to be heavily involved defensively. Now, would they change anything last year? No, I don't think they would. With the people I've spoken with, they liked the path that he was on. If you remember, his season-ending knee injury came in practice. It was a non-contact knee injury. So it's not like the extra workload that he took, in camp with working on both sides of the ball played any role in that. It was just one of those freak non-contact injuries. Yeah. So, they wouldn't trade or change anything about the way they deployed him last year. He was a little bit more offense than defense last year, but we'll see the opposite of that this year.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting storyline that I'm keen on keeping tabs on as the season gets going and, of course, progresses. As we talk Jacksonville Jaguars with Mike Duraco from ESPN down in Florida. Now, before I switch over, I want to discuss the defensive side of the ball. I want to kind of, focus in on the team's schedule this year, and they are going to play another couple games in London, which seems to be a staple for this club on a year-to-year basis. They'll play Philly and Houston in back-to-back weeks. Now, both of those are Jags home games, so a couple off the schedule there. And then we know next season they're going to be playing their games out of Orlando as the renovation to the stadium gets going in Jacksonville itself. What's the conversation locally around this, Mike, in terms of, this kind of uncertain nature that seems to always circle the club with all the games in Europe? But do these renovations to the stadium, and it's a big one, $1.4 billion, kind of put that to rest that this team isn't going anywhere anytime soon with this type of investment into the home field?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the background noise, but that is the construction going on at the stadium. I'm sitting right outside their facility, which is right next to the stadium. Yeah, people focus on the $1.4 billion, which we all know is now going to cost way more than that.
Of course.
The way prices have gone up. Absolutely. But with that came a new 30-year lease that starts in 2028. So, yeah, this team's not going anywhere. The two games in London this year, the home games, look, the team's original plan was to play away from this city in 26 and 27. But when they did a lot of, town hall meetings with fans and talking to people in, city government, they were like, look, we don't want you away for 2 years. So the compromise was they play here in 26, reduced capacity, but the possibility of playing, multiple home games away internationally was something that they included in that. So, I think people here there's no concern here about whether this team is ever going to leave the international part of this, whether they play every year in London, every other year in London. Look, the international aspect of it is not going anywhere in the NFL. I mean, we keep hearing,
no doubt,
thoughts about like, hey, look, they would love to have a game every week internationally. The league would. Don't know how feasible that is. But yeah, I don't think we'll stop seeing the Jaguars playing in London completely or anywhere else internationally. But everybody here, they're so excited fan-wise that they don't ever have to sit there and defend the Jags are moving to London, the Jags are moving to St. Louis, the Jags are moving to San Antonio rumors anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more cut and dry. This team's going to be in Jacksonville for the next 32, 33 years at least.
The only question, a follow-up to that, with the renovations, is the pool staying?
My understanding is yes.
Oh, good.
But I also know that anyone who's done a construction project, whether it's their home or anything else like that, is sometimes the final product does not always match the rendering / drawing / plans.
Yes.
So, we'll see. I know they're closed this year for sure because they basically are redoing the entire upper part of the stadium this year. All that's closed off. There's only going to be lower bowl seating. So, for sure not this year and for sure not next year, but, hopefully they stay because that's such a really good part of this stadium.
Oh, it's so cool, and I appreciate you humoring me on it anyway. Because listen, the fans in Jacksonville are awesome. I've grown up a Texans fan, so obviously an in-division rival, but I've always been able to appreciate that element of Jacksonville, and I never, to be honest, really bought into the notion of them, moving to play elsewhere. Now, back to the on-the-field product as we chat with Mike Duraco from ESPN about the Jags on the defensive side of the ball. To me, this group comes across as a little maybe under the radar or unheralded on defense, but they've got some real dogs here. Obviously, Trayvon Walker, the former top pick. Josh Hines-Allen is excellent off that right edge. Eric Armstead joining the team. And then in the secondary, when you have Travis Hunter, your top guy, and some excellent complementary pieces, where do you kind of stack up this defense, Mike? Maybe not just in division, but across the AFC on a little bit bigger picture.
Well, they're returning almost everybody from the number one rush defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect them to still be pretty good against the run. The one guy they lost, Devin Lloyd, now in Carolina. So there's some question mark at that linebacker spot of who's going to end up replacing him. But to me, the biggest question, there's two things about this defense that they need to get better at. Well, one, they definitely need to get better at, and that was the pass rush. That was their weakness.
Okay.
Anyone who saw that playoff game against Buffalo, we know that, Trevor Lawrence's last pass bounces off Jacoby Myers' hands, gets intercepted. If he holds on to it just a second more, he can get one to Parker Washington that goes for a big gain. But, the real problem in that fourth quarter is they allowed the Bills to drive down the field twice and score 2 touchdowns. I mean, there was no pass rush on Josh Allen, and that had to be addressed. And they really didn't do anything in the offseason to do it. Now, they're counting on some young guys to kind of step up a little bit. And the guy who really has is BJ Green, a second-year guy who was an undrafted rookie last year. So he's kind of moved into that, pass rusher number 3 role. But I just don't know that that's going to be good enough, to be honest with you. And the other thing you worry about if you're a Jags fan is that team took the ball away 31 times last year. The year before, they took it away 9. Okay. Wow. So that's a huge increase. But you can't expect 30-plus forced turnovers out of your defense every year. You have to be able to play defense without turnovers. You have to be able to stop guys. You have to be able to get the quarterback on the ground. Can they do that? I don't know. I think you have to, when a team is so good or so bad at the turnover margin or turnovers forced, they always seem to kind of regress to the mean the year after. So, I'm expecting this team to not force it over as much as they did last year just because some of those things are luck. And if that's the case, then they've got to start making some more plays on defense. Maybe Travis Hunter helps that and helps the pass rush if they can get coverage to hang on for just a half second or 1 second more. Maybe that results in more sacks and more pressure. We'll see. But it's a pretty darn good unit. And if Travis Hunter is really as good as they think he's going to be as a corner, then this defense could really be one of the better ones, certainly top 10 in the NFL overall.
No doubt. Mike, excellent insight. Appreciate you taking the time with us this morning. Enjoy the remainder of camp and preseason, and we will look forward to catching up with you once again when the season gets rolling here in a few weeks' time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
You betcha. Appreciate it. Mike Duraco from ESPN covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show. We'll close things out. We'll dip back into the text line, 1-833-401-1440, and we will talk a little CFL heading into week number 12 of the season. Some excellent notes from our friend Cam Tate about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and how things are different than when they last squared off with the Edmonton Elks. So we'll close things up and let you know what's coming up on the station over the course of the rest of the day to close out our morning program. It's Tom Gazzola Show, spit it out. Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, and yours truly, Brandon Douglas, sitting in for Tommy this week. The show brought to you by Bet365.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is serious about cooling. In fact, we offer multiple ways to cool your home. So you better
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
If you're looking for traditional air conditioning, we got you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or ask us about a heat pump to help you heat and cool.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Cool with AC or cool with a heat pump. Cool your home with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Guys, there never seems to be enough time in the day, but you need to make time for this. Ken Franchek here. If you're 40 or over, a quick PSA blood test is crucial for early prostate cancer detection. The Prostate Cancer Center's Man Van is a mobile health clinic driving change for men's health. A few minutes could save your life. To get the Man Van out to your business or event, book today at getcheck.ca.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
It's time to hit the greens. Elevate your golf game with Country Club Tour Golf Academy. No matter your experience, our PGA of Canada teaching pros are here to help. Enjoy lessons year-round between our 7 CCT golf courses and 2 state-of-the-art indoor facilities. Choose the location convenient for you. We offer private lessons, group lessons, expert club fittings, and junior cams. Visit our website to learn more and get ready to take your game to the next level. Booking is easy. Go to countryclubtour.com/golf academy and schedule your lesson today.
Ford employee pricing is on now, and you pay what we pay on virtually our entire lineup of Ford vehicles. Visit your Alberta Ford store today.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wore jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, denim man. Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Home stretch of the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440, brought to you by Bet365. Brandon Douglas in for Tom. Day 2 of 5 in the big chair. We got Josh Fenwick. We got Donovan Paulson. And we got young Connor the intern. Connor the younger. Connor the lesser. Connor Spivak. Crushed it. That was pretty much a shot in the dark, too.
Way to choose your own horn.
I was just like rattling my brain. I'm like, what was his last name again? And I got it. Got it on lock now. Said it, won't forget it. Text line 1-833-41440. You can keep those text messages coming in, not only for the final dozen minutes or so of this program, but the rest of the day. Top of the hour, it's going to be the frenzy with the con man, Connor Halley. Connor Halley, hardworking Connor Halley. Number one man at the station, according to Donovan Paulson. There's none better, and it's hard to disagree. He continues his dutiful action on the frenzy alongside Donnie and Josh and young Connor. Do you guys know who's coming on? Did he send you the guest?
He did, and it's a Pats guy. I forget the name off the top of my head.
Sorry? Alex Bart?
Thank you.
Barth.
Barth. Like Garth, but Barth.
Thank you, Donovan. Alex Barth, covering the New England Patriots. Can the Pats do it again? Something I'm interested in. I've asked several of our NFL guests that these past couple days. And are they a regression candidate? Is Drake May a regression candidate? There's a lot of belief, I think, that the Pats could take a step backwards, still be a playoff team, but Drake May is an MVP candidate. That seems to be the overarching, very widespread general consensus from not only conversations on this show, on this station, but in the larger NFL picture. And I think I'm kind of inclined to agree. I like him a lot. I do still think I like Caleb Williams more, but I'm a little more partial to the Bears than I am to the Patriots. So there's probably some bias in that element. From noon to 2, it'll be the lowdown with Low Tide. Declan Kruger, who spurned us for a guest hit this morning. Asked him originally yesterday, you want to come on and talk college football? He says, yeah, would love to. He relishes the opportunity. Confirmed via text message last night. Oh, no, can't do it. Just absolutely burned me. But that's all right. He'll have
pigeon tosses you.
Totally pigeon tosses me.
What is this, the 17th time?
Typical. No, at least he had the foresight this time to recognize he couldn't do it instead of being on the schedule and then no showing me or not answering the phone, which has happened. That's all right. Deck will be in with Low Tide as well as Josh and Connor for noon to 2. They'll cover a variety of topics. Tuesday means a conversation with Sean Bell, I believe, right? Former NHLer and Thursday co-host here on the morning show. And then noon to 6, the Jason Greger Show with guest host, aforementioned Connor Halley. Tuesday on for him means Tyler Yaremchuk. Maybe.
Oh, God.
Speck, obviously. McCarthy?
I don't remember if he's Wednesday or Tuesday. I always forget.
The summer schedule on the Greger Show does get a little tossed into the blender, and you would think at this point, well, I'd have figured out, and I just simply don't. And I'm sorry for it. The moral of the story, you still got another 7 excellent hours of sports talk radio programming. And then Fox Sports Radio overnight, we're back at it tomorrow, 7 o'clock. And David Schlemko will be in at 9 o'clock to co-host with us. So we'll have, we already have a few guests lined up for tomorrow morning on the show. Rod Peterson, our buddy RP, will pop on to talk some CFL. We're going to head down to the Royal Mayfair, where it is the Canadian Women's Open this week. If you were unaware, the CPKC Women's Open, Brooke Henderson, defending champion, only Canadian 2-time winner of the event. It's back at the Mayfair for the 3rd time in its history. We're going to chat with the tournament director tomorrow on the show. And I'm hoping to maybe have some conversations with some of the golfers when I make my way down to the Mayfair at the press conferences this afternoon. And tickets are available for that. Just search CPKC Women's Open, and there's lots of options. The chance to host an event like this in our city, I hope people don't let it pass them by. Like, they take advantage of it and seize the opportunity. So be sure to check that out with a great field, including Nelly Corda, one of the very best in the world, and our own Brooke Henderson. Lots of other great Canadians in the field, too. So that's what's kind of on the docket. And I guess Blue Jays baseball in there as well. Right, Donnie? 440 first pitch today.
Against the Rays.
Soriano on the hill.
Yep. Soriano versus Nick Martinez. Soriano 1.69 ERA is a J.
He's been good.
Starts.
He's been good so far.
Which is nice.
The talk around that is that it does seem that, as you kind of touched on this earlier on the Cease conversation, that P. Walker and some of the staff has seemingly changed, not necessarily anything physical about Soriano, but some of his pitch choice and deployment of his arsenal that could maybe take him to even another level where, listen, he was really good for the Angels, but can he be even better now in this J system that seems to get the best out of a lot of its pitching players?
If you want the actual breakdown,
please.
What happened with the Angels is they made him throw a lot of four-seam fastballs. The Angels were a very four-seam fastball heavy pitcher and team, and the Jays, like, they didn't let him throw his sinker enough, and the Jays realized in acquiring him that is his best fastball. So the Jays have basically, in essence, taken the four-seam fastball and said, okay, you're going to throw it still, but we want you to throw the hell out of that sinker. And so as a result, he's just been better because it's the better pitch. The Angels are stupid and they don't know how to actually handle players. So they don't take their strengths and continue to just pound through the strengths. The Jays look at a pitcher's strengths and go, we love that. Do that. They're not just, you have to throw the four-seam fastball more than the sinker, which Soriano, great pitcher, even despite the fact that his four-seam fastball got crushed. Everything else was fantastic for him numbers-wise, but the four-seam fastball was the only pitch getting crushed. And mysteriously, now that he's stopped throwing it as much, his ERA has lowered. Maybe the Angels aren't very smart.
Josh, sorry that happened to you as an Angels fan. Some other MLB games, full slate today, just if you're keeping tabs on some scoreboard watching. We've sort of entered that part of the season if you're a Jays fan and interested in how the other teams jostling for playoff position are shaking out. Orioles take on the Yankees. Tigers play the Pirates. If you want to include Cleveland still in the mix, they're hosting San Francisco. Red Sox against the D-backs. And the Twins play the Braves. Texas hosting Washington. Those are kind of all the teams that are in this Jays sphere that you're up against. And really quickly, Elks in Action Friday. If you want to win tickets, you can text Elks to 1-833-414-40. Automatically enters you. We're giving away tickets all week long. So do that to get your chance. I'm sure it'll be another good crowd down at Commonwealth. How about Cam Tate? 5 points on how the Bombers have improved since they faced the Edmonton Elks. Their offensive rhythm and ball security, reestablished ground dominance, Brady Oliveira's status, of course, withstanding there, defensive lockdown in space, pass rush and havoc creation, and then special teams discipline and field position. Look at Tater putting in the work. That's going to do it for us. Connor Halley and the Frenzy will have you at the top of the hour. We're back tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock to do it all over again, including our Wednesday co-host, former NHL defenseman David Schlemko. To finish things out, let's have a Sports 1440 update brought to you by All-Star Construction. They shape and build Edmonton communities specializing in underground utilities like power, gas, telecommunication, and street lighting. That's All-Star Construction. Have a great remainder of your Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Here's Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Jays back in action tonight against the Rays. First pitch flying at 4:40. Jose Soriano on the mound for Toronto. Nick Martinez going for Tampa Bay. The Yankees are in Baltimore. The Phillies hosting the Marlins. Some NFL news just breaking right this second, actually. Terrion Arnold. He's still signing with the Seattle Seahawks. However, he has been placed on the commissioner's exempt list. So that will be quite the holdup, apparently. Najee Harris also signing with the Giants. Coming up next, it is the Frenzy with Connor Halley. No Brandon Douglas. I'm Donovan Paulson. That is your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.